All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It is hour one of Jon and Jim, and this might be a top five Mike Schilt day too. We might have back-to-back top 5 days after, forget about Nick Pivetta, Kyle Hart, like you said, coming over from the KBO. So some additions since yesterday. We spent can I say damn?
Yes, Jon.
We spent 4 damn hours yesterday talking about Mike Schilt saying this is the better than Christmas. We sign off the radio.
10 minutes later.
I get 2 texts. Was it from you and Fadden or was it from you and Darnay?
It was from me and Fadden.
Yeah. Ben's like, oh, they couldn't have done this during your show. They sign. And it's a significant signing based on what they've done this offseason, which is nothing. Now,
Absolutely.
I'm not going to sell this like it's Roki Sasaki.
No.
And the most significant part is if they've landed Nick Pivetta and keep Dylan Cease, so we'll hear from AJ Preller on that becomes overly significant. But we have talked about the Padres obsessively for 5 months since the season ended. We spent 4 hours talking about Mike Schilt saying, this is better than his birthday. And then boom, 6:03, they land Nick Pivetta in a bizarre deal. But at the end of the day, they've got additional starting pitching. He put together a good enough 2024 with the Red Sox. He's got good stuff. He's had a good career, not a great career, but a good enough career. Nick Pivetta to the Padres. They've added another starting pitcher from the KBO. Hopefully they keep Dylan Cease. And you're beginning to see this roster, Jim, come together right now with spring training underway.
Yeah, I was caught off guard. I didn't expect it. I was driving home. I had my phone on my mount in my car. I was listening to a podcast on the way home, and I see a notification drop down from Kevin and Dennis at the same time. So I saw Dennis's tweet before I saw Kevin's.
Who had it first? Oh, Jeff Passan.
Jeff Passan had it first. And all I saw was, after a quiet offseason, the Padres have made and I'm like, what? As I'm driving, I have to don't do this when you're driving, everybody, but I looked at my phone and I see that they've signed Nick Pivetta to a 4-year, $55 million deal. And in my head, the first thing I thought of was, where did they just get this money from?
That's so much money. It's huge. Where'd they find it? It's not really that much money.
And that was before I saw the actual breakdown of the deal. But I went for about a solid 15 minutes without realizing that AJ Preller works some crazy contract magic once again to make this deal very affordable and very team friendly for the next 2 years. Jon,
winners find solutions.
Yes, they do, Mike Schilt.
So Mike Schilt today, I don't know if Schilt slept last night because the Pivetta news broke and he probably knew about this KBO signing as well, Kyle Hart.
Do you think when he spoke yesterday morning, he knew that this was about to happen?
No, I really don't. I think Preller does Preller's things and then he tells Schilt. Like Schilt's like, he's got some things down his pants and when I need to know about him, I need to know about him. So let's hear from Schilt today. Remember, yesterday's a top 5 day. Today he finds out about Nick Pivetta. This was Mike Schilt earlier.
Yeah, I mean, listen, AJ does what AJ does. He, supplements the club in areas we need it, and always looking and finding a solution, which is what winners do. And, listen, the guy that's official is Kyle Hart, so we're excited about adding Kyle to the mix. Clearly had a great year in Korea last year, a lefty that gives us potentially another look in that rotation, which is good. And in talking to him, he's already acclimating well with the group, so that's a real positive. I've been encouraged not to speak too much about, Nick, and it's not official, so it's hard for me to comment on that, but clearly I got a smile on my face and excited about, the officialness of that taking place and getting started with a guy that's really going to help bolster our rotation to take us those next steps where we want to go.
When Schilt has a smile on his face, Jon, we have a smile on our faces.
Not always, Jim. Not always, my friend.
That is true. That is true. But most of the time,
this time of year, we
got smiles on our faces.
We do.
So at first glance, you're like, "Whoa, what? They just spent a bunch of money." They actually really didn't. It's a 2-year deal for $23 million. It's a base salary this year of $1 million plus a $3 million signing bonus. So it's the same as Michael King, which on the payroll, it'll be $4 million. The AAV is 13.75. He has an opt-out after 2 years. They've got pitching depth. They got somebody to put in the rotation that's locked in for next year as well. On face and just looking at the deal, I like it a lot. I do. I think Nick Pivetta, if you slot him in as your 3 or 4 guy, that's like his perfect spot. If you're asking Nick Pivetta to be your 1 or 2, you might have some problems.
Well, I love it with the rotation that they have. I mean, assuming the health of the whole keystone, like the keystone, the whole
keystone
pivotal piece here. Nobody wants Nick Pivetta at the expense of Dylan Cease. You want Nick Pivetta with Dylan Cease. I know we had scheduled to play this maybe in a few minutes, Brent, but if you have it, the bite on Dylan Cease from AJ Preller, this is the part to me that really puts it over the top. Now, Preller doesn't ever say anything, so he's not going to say definitively when you hear from him, there is no scenario in the world where Dylan Cease is being traded. That's not what he says. But by Preller standards, I think this is a pretty strong statement. So again, Pivetta in the fold, we were led to believe earlier this week, well, they might add pitching to then move pitching. I hear this from AJ Preller. I don't know about that. What do you got before we hear from him? Turn your mic on, you idiot.
It was reported a couple weeks ago by Jeff Passan that if and when the Padres move off of Dylan Cease, they would then pivot to Nick Pivetta or a Jack Flaherty.
Even Dennis Lin Monday.
Yeah.
It may seem counterintuitive, but the Padres may add starting pitching to move pitching, is what he wrote, essentially. This was Preller earlier today. AJ Preller, who doesn't say much, had this to say about Dylan Cease.
Yeah, I mean, it's a similar spot. Like, again, like I think we look at our rotation. Obviously Dylan King and Darvish there. Dylan got Cy Young votes last year. He's probably been as consistent as a pitcher in the game. His ability to take the ball, like in that first series, is very important. And again, like I think we're always a team that with any player, you always gotta listen. A lot of teams this offseason have interest in a lot of our players. I think some of the speculation again, like has been not accurate that's out there about different possibilities. But from our standpoint, we've to have a guy like Dylan that's he's one of the best pitchers in the league. It's 200 innings every year. He's got the ability to dominate. Throws a no-hitter last year. That's a very big part of our club. And I think the additions the last couple of days is to supplement what's a really good rotation. I think that's our focus here going forward is having that strong rotation. That's what you need to pitch, and having Dylan be a big part of that.
Was there anything in there? Seriously, was there anything in there where you're like, oh man, I'm really worried right now about Dylan? Not to me. He actually was very reassuring to me.
I look at the move and I like the move only if Dylan Cease stays. Like, that's how I view this is if Dylan Cease stays and you're adding Nick Pivetta to a rotation of Dylan Cease, Michael King, Yu Darvish, great pickup. Love it. I think it adds to the depth of it clearly gives you depth in the rotation, something that they were lacking. It gives you a guy that can eat innings, a guy that has pretty high potential because he's a high strikeout guy. If you look at his numbers the last 4 years, they're not going to be great.
They don't jump off the piece of paper.
No, they don't.
Oh.
But he gives you exactly what you'd want out of a 4 starter.
100%.
150 innings plus, almost 200 strikeouts. Like, that's exactly what this team needed. And they got that. But again, the only way I truly like this deal, like I do right now, is if Dylan Cease remains on this roster.
I like what AJ Preller is saying. Where I'm going to give Preller a lot of credit is somewhere along the way, the whole winning but being sustainable, right? Responsible winning conversation we've had this offseason, like that's factual. The deals they're putting together are like, hey, will you take a few dollars right now? We'll pay you later. All of these deals are remarkable. They've committed so few dollars. Kevin reported on this today. When you add up Diaz and Connor Joe and Jason Hayward and Nick Pivetta and Kyle Hart, and you're saying, who's Kyle Hart? This guy they just signed from Korea, who's made 4 appearances in his career in the major leagues, but pitched well in Korea. That total allocation, I think is $8.5 million that they actually owe up front. $8.5 million on 5 players that you're going to have on your opening day roster. And these aren't like no ones. Like Nick Pivetta is a starting pitcher. Starting pitchers cost money. Jason Hayward has played a lot of Major League Baseball. So it's like, however they put these contracts together, it feels to me like the only team that could even consider doing this is the San Diego Padres. They've become the kings of putting together these bizarre deals over the last 18 months.
And another reason why I didn't even think Nick Pivetta was going to be a thing is because he had a qualifying offer slapped on him last year.
Yep.
He declined that. And so whoever was going to sign him was going to lose a draft pick.
Which is what the Padres did. They lost their second pick in next year's draft.
So I'm like, whoa, this is completely out of left field as far as, what we know Preller to want to do. And I see it in the chat. You guys were wrong. They actually do have money. Well,
no, they don't.
They don't. Yeah. Okay. They're creating these deals to work around the money issues, and they've just backloaded this Pivetta deal. The 4 for 55, like the headline, that's completely fake. It's just that's not what it is. And next year, when some money comes off the books, he's going to be paid $19 million. His AAV is 13.75, but it's a 2-year, $23 million deal. That's what it is.
That's like bargain shopping. Starting pitching?
Yeah.
A proven starter who has basically thrown 150 innings for each of the last 4 years is going to make $11.5 million guaranteed each of the next 2 years, essentially, because $23 million divided by 2. It doesn't get cheaper than that. I actually think it proves the opposite. I think it proves the Padres don't have money, and I can explain it like this. There's a payroll number and there's a CBT number. They're over a CBT number, but their payroll number's well below it. Their payroll number's under 200 million. Their CBT number's in like the 250 range. By going over the CBT, they're paying a small tax. I'd rather pay the small tax than go pay Nick Pivetta $20 million this year. And to your point on next year, when he makes 19, guess what comes off? Eric Hosmer, potentially Dylan Cease, unfortunately, potentially Michael King, unfortunately, potentially Luis Arraez, unfortunately. Suarez. So that's $60 million. So I think they've never been more cash strapped. But I think AJ Preller is the most creative general manager in baseball. I'm not saying they're the LA Dodgers. I'm just saying I don't think they have any money, but I'm still giving Preller credit for trying to put this thing together and get him to the postseason in 2025.
Yeah, this entire offseason, maybe once, but I can't remember a time where we went hard at Preller for lack of moves. It was, hey, the ownership is handcuffing Preller. That's what it felt like, because we know him. He wants to make a million different types of moves. He's thinking about moves every second of every day on how to try to make this team better. And we know Preller wants to act as soon as possible, but he couldn't, and he didn't. And in this case, he waited it out, and they got a deal that works really well for them. It works well for a lot of different reasons, including the money issue and the most important, which is the depth of the rotation. And you add to the depth, you add to the front three that you have with now some legitimate depth in Nick Pivetta, and moves everybody else down. So you're not relying on the Waldrons and the Vasquez and the Brito and potentially a Stephen Kolek to have to give you 20 plus starts this year. You're going to have those 4 guys that I named, and you're going to have a, revolving door potentially, and whoever sticks.
Isn't Kyle Hart like a wrestling name of someone that's not good?
The first thing we said, Kyle Hart, I think of Kevin Hart. I don't know why, but probably because it's close to.
I thought of Corey Hart.
Kyle Hart to me sounds like some guy that wears like a normal wrestling outfit and gets smoked by like the good wrestlers in WWF. All right. On the other side, are the Padres done? We'll hear from AJ Preller directly. Plus, Mike Ferrin, as good of a baseball insider as there is, MLB Network Radio. He'll join us coming up at 2:30. We've got great giveaways for you here today. Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio at 2:30. Stay with us. Dude, I am dumbfounded. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding when I say I'm dumbfounded. Mike Ferrin's going to join us in 10 minutes. MLB Network Radio. I'm reading Dennis Lynn's article that he posted 2 minutes ago. I read it in its entirety at the break. This is an actual quote. Like, that means someone said it. I'm not making it up. Okay. Kyle Hart, who's been here for
2 seconds.
9 seconds.
Yes.
Nobody. So I need to qualify who Kyle Hart is. They just signed him today from the Korean baseball organization after a very good year as a veteran pitcher. Yeah. He's made 4 appearances in the major leagues. He's got a 15 career ERA.
My favorite, real quick before we get to that, my favorite thing, let's be real here. Nobody knows who Kyle Hart is. No disrespect to Kyle Hart. But if you know who Kyle Hart is, you have to be a psycho baseball fan.
Psychotic.
Nobody's
and I like this deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? I like this deal. Like, you don't know anything about this guy.
I mean, I trust Preller.
Hopefully, I like this guy. Yeah. He's really good.
Hopefully Preller gets it right.
You don't know anything.
Listen to this. This is an amazing quote. I hope I'm not overselling it. This is from Kyle Hart. I think it's time to go win the NL West outright, said Hart.
What?
Okay. Listen to this. I mean, it's been almost 20 years now since we've won this division. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
There's no we here.
Dude, you don't even have a locker.
You just got here.
Your bag says KBO on it. You don't own any Padres stuff other than through MLBshop.com.
We haven't won anything in 20 years.
And they've had a lot of great teams the last 5 years. I mean, really, really good teams. And I'm just happy to be here to be able to help. I feel, okay, whatever. But is that not amazing? I think it's time to go win the NL. Just go throw a bullpen, dude.
Yeah, are you going to make the team?
There's another thing. We'll hear from Preller on if he's done. But, I mean, Preller kind of doubled down with that same point, which is like, he was quoted today by Dennis as saying, like, can we go win an NL West title? That's not where I would start my season with. That's not the expectation I would have heading into the year. If it's theirs, that's great. I'm fine with it being a hope, but man, to put it out there publicly, the team that just won the World Series that you're chasing, that's gotten better, and it's very arguable if you have, and you want to put out there publicly, can we go win an NL West title? Little premature for me.
In his defense, he was asked today about that.
Okay.
So this wasn't brought up out of the blue. He was asked, what's it going to take to beat the Dodgers and win an NL West? So I don't think
that's fine. Yeah, that's a fair question.
Yeah, and we have that sound, but right, Brent, we have that sound from AJ. No.
Did you put it in the rundown?
Let me see here. Did I?
No, you didn't put it in the rundown. So
you have Preller and still looking to add.
Oh man, if I don't put it in the rundown, never gonna have it.
That's correct.
Exactly. But he was asked about it. So yeah, I'm not going to be like, oh, why is he talking about this? Like, he was asked about it.
It's just the Kyle Hart thing. I mean, I am floored. How do you know what we've done over the last 20 years, dude? What were you studying on the plane? I mean, it's a long trip.
He's like, man,
look
at all this stuff.
I think it's time to go win the NL West outright. No, I think it's time to go learn the names of the catchers that you're throwing to.
Right.
Can we hear from AJ Preller? This is AJ Preller on, are the Padres done adding or not?
I think still looking to add. I mean, again, I think to me, like, those guys we like, they're makeup guys that are, have real experiences that, in Cheat's case, it's kind of like getting back to what we saw a few years ago and kind of see if we can unlock a couple things there. With Joe and Hayward, they're guys that you kind of know what they're going to bring to the table from a veteran presence standpoint, and hopefully from a production standpoint, we get the best out of those guys. Last year we brought in Profar. We kind of had idea like all off season we were going to line up with Profar, and we thought hopefully we can get the best baseball from Church, and we're going to have a couple surprises, and those are good guys that that we feel like have a chance to surprise a little bit, but we're going to continue to look and see if we can add to the offensive group as well in the next couple of weeks. I think
did he say offensive side as well?
Yes.
I like hearing it, man. He's made 5, in my opinion, 5 guys are going to be on the big league roster. We can argue their merits, right, but he's added 5 in 5 days. Connor Joe, Jason Hayward, KBO boy,
Kyle Hart,
Kevin, Nick Pivetta. Who else? Who's the 5th?
Elias Diaz.
Okay, in the last week, whatever, 10 days. I mean, and he's not done. He's going to add a couple more. I mean, okay.
There's no doubt in my mind Nick Pivetta is the most significant move.
I agree.
That's a move that even before the Nick Pivetta move, if everything went right and you had a breakout year from one of your star players, I was thinking like 85, 86-ish, like tops. Like they could get there. Like you're going to have some ups and downs, but if everyone stays relatively healthy, you think you can get 85, 86. I think Nick Pivetta gives you definitely more wiggle room. I think it gives you a little bit of margin of error. Not a lot. It's not like you just signed, I don't know, Paul Skeens or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Nick Pivetta Nick Pivetta is a good back end of the rotation guy. If he's in the back end, he becomes way more valuable. If he's been in the front, it's a problem. And so with that, now it's like, okay, I can see this team winning 87, 88. Like I could see them doing that if things go right for them, they stay healthy. By no means do I think like I see some people, they're 82 wins tops.
No, I don't feel that way at all.
Like their depth is still an issue, no doubt about it. If some of their star players do get hurt or they don't have good seasons, like things go south pretty quickly because the depth of this team is not great still. But at least now the rotation, I feel a little more comfortable with things. I feel that they have 4 legitimate starters and at least 2 that you could say are aces in King and Cease. You have that, you're gonna compete and you're gonna go out and win some baseball games.
Some ball games.
Some bowl games.
I like that. All right, Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio, his thoughts on the Nick Pivetta signing and what else the Padres need to do between now and opening day. Friend of the show, great baseball voice, Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio on the other side. We've got great giveaways today, including Aztec tickets for next Tuesday. We'll get into the Aztecs game coming up Saturday against Boise State as well at 3 p.m. But stay with us. Mike Ferrin coming up next.
All right, this update's brought to you by the Jim Petrell Real Estate Team. Padres have made moves last night, according to Jeff Passan. They agreed to terms with Nick Pivetta on a 4-year, $55 million deal. This morning, they made it official with left-hand pitcher Kyle Hart. The Jets, they officially released Aaron Rodgers today. And tonight is the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show at 6 p.m. with Coach Dutch and John right here on San Diego Sports 760. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Petrell is the buyer. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
All right, I don't think Jim's been mentioning it. The Brian Dutcher Show. I'm kidding. Returns tonight at 6 p.m. Me and Dutch, 6 to 7, right here in your home of the Aztecs. We'll get into the importance of Saturday against Boise State, like a must-win game for both the Aztecs and Boise State, with BJ Rains at 3 p.m. He covers the Broncos. So join us coming up in 30 minutes, and after that conversation, we'll give away some Aztec tickets for Tuesday against Fresno State. So a lot going on. Aztec basketball this weekend. Spring training is underway. I mean, AJ Preller really has been creative. He's been active, and we'll see what is next for Preller and the Padres. Now, Mike Ferrin has been with us for years on San Diego Sports 760 and Jon and Jim. He is a great baseball voice. He really is. And he's back with us right now on Jon and Jim. So Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio, friend of the show. Always great to have him back. Happy the return of Cactus League and Grapefruit League and spring training in baseball, Mike. Let's start with Nick Pivetta. I mean, seemingly a little bit out of nowhere. They hadn't spent any money. This isn't a huge cash deal, but what do you make of this addition? And thanks for hopping on.
Well, I think it was, really out of nowhere. It had been so quiet on Pivetta that I'm not sure that any of us really knew when he was going to sign or what the offers were. You know, he turned down the qualifying offer from Boston, which would have guaranteed him just over $21 million this year. So that was it was kind of, we were wondering how long this would drag out. I think from the Padres standpoint, you're right. It's not like over a 4-year span, not a whole lot of cash outlay, and it's certainly not in the short term. And I think between that and maybe the Michael King deal, we have a little bit more certainty on what exactly the Padres were trying to accomplish this winter, at least in terms of payroll. It wasn't so much that they were concerned about where things were long term. They just didn't feel like they had, at least ownership had not approved them to run a payroll for the season that was much higher than what it was. And so, being able to get Michael King to sign for, as low a number as he did this year, with the way that you can spread out bonuses, and for Pivetta to do basically the same thing, even though he's going to be up to $19 million next year, and this deal is heavily backloaded. Really creative way to go about it, and a great way to be able to allow them to fit in under what their budget constraints were. Keep King, add a starting pitcher, which they desperately needed, and it probably directly led them to adding their left field platoon. So, listen, Pivetta's not a star. He'll miss some bats. He's going to give up some dingers. He's kind of a perfectly cromulent 4th, 5th starter. And one that will get on a good run for a 10 to 12 start stretch where it will be better than that because he'll strike a bunch of guys out. But this is this definitely makes their club better than it was yesterday.
And with all the reports in the offseason surrounding, Dylan Cease earlier today and yesterday, it's been reported that they're maybe likely to keep Dylan Cease instead. And I said, Mike, tell me if you agree. I like the Nick Pivetta signing a lot, but if they trade Dylan Cease, then I don't really like it. If they keep Dylan Cease, then I like it even more.
Yeah, it depends on what they get back, right? Like if they were to trade Cease, it's if they were to get a deal that was similar to what Milwaukee had gotten last year for Corbin Burns, I think that would be pretty good, right? You get an everyday player who you control for 6 years in Joey Ortiz. You get a pitcher that you can dream on as either a starter or reliever, albeit one with some history of injuries, and like in DL Hall, who's hurt again. And you get a draft pick. Like that's actually a pretty reasonable return. But I think they're clearly a better team if they hold on to Cease. And I think the freeing up of the money would have been to be able to add other pieces in other spots. It wasn't just to shed payroll. It would have been an effort to try and fill holes as well. So, I mean, listen, I think they're a better team with Cease. I think the way that they're constructed, their top four in the rotation is pretty good. I don't think it's quite as good as the Diamondbacks. I don't think it has the upside that the Dodgers do, but it's certainly good enough to be one of the teams that's squarely in the mix for a postseason berth. And, you know, I think it should be a relief to Padres fans that they're not necessarily talking about moving Dylan Cease, that they can cross that bridge if things aren't going well at the deadline. And then if they are going well, then you know you're going to be able to slap a qualifying offer on him at the end of the year, and you know he can test free agency.
That's a really good point. Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio, with us right now. Jon and Jim, you mentioned the left field platoon. You know, they hit, you know, lightning in a bottle with Profar last year with the productivity for the dollars. What can this work, or what do you think about it? Hayward and Joe potentially splitting time in left field.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably not going to be as productive as Jerks and Profar. I mean, I don't think there's any way that it would. Hayward's a great makeup guy. I mean, if you get a chance to spend any time with him, he's just a really quality human being, a great dude, great teammate, great worker. You know, he's been one of the best players in the league, and he's been one of the worst players in the league. So, I mean, he kind of understands all of that, and I think that makes him a really good resource for, you know, even somebody like Jackson Merrill, who, you know, is going to have a different level of pressure going on him coming into year two. Hayward's been there, right? So, and he's consistently been on teams that were in the postseason. And, you know, he's been a very, you know, he has been a player whose production has varied year to year. But he's kind of found this role as a platoon guy, and I think he'll be okay. You know, Joe is a guy that draws some walks, and, you know, he doesn't hit for a ton of power. He's fairly athletic. He can move around, play a couple of different positions. You know, he's a local guy. I mean, he was on those USD teams with Chris Bryant. You know, he's a guy that I think, you know, is a nice role player on a good team. He just hasn't been on any good teams. You know, he played for Pittsburgh and Colorado for the most part. And, but I like Connor Joe as that, you know, like the 20, yeah, I guess for taking position players, like the 12th or the 13th position player on your team, where he's playing a weak side platoon role. And, you know, potentially filling in a couple other spots against some righties here and there. He's going to be fine. He'll hit for a decent average. He'll get on base. He won't hit for much power. But it's not going to be nearly as productive as what they got out of Profar. It would be a miracle if that happened.
AJ said that, you know, they're still looking at, of course he is. It's AJ Preller. He's always looking to, you know, tweak his roster any way possible. But, you know, Mike, when you look at this team, what do you think they still need to be added?
Yeah, I mean, I think they could use a bat. I mean, I still think that they could use like somebody who can DH potentially. And, you know, with the rumors that Dennis Lynn had this morning, I don't know if it would be rumors, but at least their willingness to talk about Suarez in a trade, you know, that would free up some money to sign somebody like a Justin Turner, who I think would be a tremendous fit for the Padres for a lot of different reasons. So maybe that's something that still comes down the pipe. There's just not a whole lot of quality offensive players that are left. You know, there's guys with warts like a Brendan Rodgers, or, you know, they could go back down the David Peralta route. I mean, certainly that worked out pretty well last year for them, right? I mean, he was very good. So like those are kind of guys that are out there right now. And, you know, like the other thing is that they do decide to move Suarez. There's nothing to say that they don't get either a bat or maybe an extra bullpen arm or something like that back in the deal. That, you know, while they save money, they're also still adding players to their major league roster. So I think that's probably more likely what it is, but I don't think it's necessarily as pressing as a need as it was a couple of weeks ago when they really didn't have a left fielder and there was more uncertain at shortstop too. And you know what, the other thing I would think about is adding another catcher. I mean, I think it just depends on whether or not Luis Campusano's defense has come along enough that they feel confident in him. If it has, then maybe they don't need someone, but that's another position that I think is worth at least looking at for the Padres. And, you know, AJ Preller is not afraid to make a deal, as you said, in the middle of spring training. That's certainly a good way to go about team building. And we saw the Rise deal in May. So I think he's going to be constantly looking for ways to upgrade a roster that you know they want to see get back to the postseason. They needed to get back to the postseason.
No doubt. Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio. What was your reaction to the Profar deal? Because locally, I think a lot of people felt, it's pretty reasonable. Maybe 3 years is a little long, but 14 a year for a guy that was as productive and has meant so much maybe internally to that franchise, kind of hard to see him walk. But again, the Padres they just seemingly don't have the money to do it.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't at that point. Like, if they had traded, let's say theoretically they had traded Cease, like that would freed up probably some
right
to be able to do that. But I don't know that it would have made sense to put all your eggs in that basket. And who knows, maybe Profar would have taken less to stay because clearly a good relationship with a lot of people with the Padres. I mean, I thought the deal was fine. It's not a deal. It's not like a crushing deal if Profar struggles. Atlanta certainly has the payroll flexibility to be able to absorb it if he doesn't. They needed somebody who could play left field. They needed somebody who could provide some offense while Acuna was out. And, I don't know exactly when Acuna is going to come back. They've been kind of slow playing the date on it, even though he was injured far earlier last season than he was when he blew out his knee in the 2021 season. So, I think there is a chance that, Acuna is ready earlier. But Profar gives them better depth in the outfield, and it means that they don't have to rely on Jared Kelenic and Brian De La Cruz. So, yeah, the number was reasonable. I don't think it was out of bounds. I think 3 at 42 made a lot of sense, and I think he's going to be a good fit for the Braves. And here's the other thing is that this is a draw that, as much as he loved the Padres organization, the Padres loved him. Like, there are a lot of players who grew up in Curacao and Antigua and they're not Antigua, but like in the ABC Islands that were big Braves fans, in part because Andrew Jones was from Curacao and they grew up watching him and watching the Braves. And Profar kind of talked about that too. So, that was a big reason why Kenley Jansen signed there when he was a free agent a few years ago, was because of that opportunity to play for the Braves. So maybe some of that evened it out too in his mind. I know he talked about the ownership situation being a key, but I think that's something that's, you have to think that there is a little bit of heartstrings there for a player from Curacao who's like, man, I get a chance to play for the team that I grew up watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Final one here, Mike, before we let you go. Were you surprised by the Bregman deal?
I guess maybe the number on it, but I thought it was like, I'll tell you what I was surprised by, and this may seem weird. I was surprised that he didn't take a 6-year deal, because that's what we had been hearing all along, was that he wanted the long-term contract. Now, I understand why he didn't. I mean, getting $40 million a year will certainly make you think twice about signing for 6 seasons.
Right.
So, I thought it was the Red Sox were super creative, right? They didn't want to be locked in long term. They wanted to give him the option to get out from under whatever they would owe, but they also wanted the player, and they wanted him for what's left of his prime years. And so they were far more aggressive in their offer than the Cubs were, who didn't offer the most years or the most money on an AAV basis. And, if you're Detroit, you're singing a little bit, right? Because you feel like you were close. You had a 6-year offer on the table. Granted, it was for less than what he was making last year. I think if that number had been let's say 190 instead of 170, 1.5, I think it would have been a much tougher choice for Bregman. But for him, he can go, if let's say he decides to stay all 3 years in Boston and he performs fairly well, there's nothing that says that he can't get that other, 40 or 50, or I guess it would be $50 million on the other side in a 3-year contract, maybe playing at 31, 32, 33. So it'd be 34, 35, 36. You could see that. And I just think I'm a big Bregman guy. I just think he's such a baseball rat. His baseball intelligence is off the chain. He's just a really smart player that I think is going to be able to make adjustments as he gets older. They keep him relevant into his late 30s until the skills fully decline.
Mike, I didn't ask you this off air, but you mentioned something about calling some college baseball tomorrow and putting 2 and 2 together. Are you doing this tournament with San Diego State in Arizona?
So I'm doing the Sunday game actually with San Diego State.
Very cool.
I'm heading out to their practice to go see Coach Cole here in a little bit. So I'll have the San Diego State Nebraska game on MLB.com. But the next 2 days I'll be over in Surprise, Arizona, the Sanderson Ford Classic, which is Oregon State's tournament that they open the season with every year. And it's actually a really good field this year. Oregon State, Indiana, who's a regional caliber team, Xavier, who's a surprisingly good program. They won 30 games 3 years in a row. So, and UNLV, who's kind of rebounding. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait till Sunday.
That's
great
awesome.
stuff. That's awesome. Mike, always appreciate it. We'll do it when we get closer to opening day. Have great college baseball calls this weekend, including San Diego State and Nebraska as the Aztec season gets underway this weekend in Arizona. Thanks, Mike, as always.
Yeah, no problem. Take care.
Right, great stuff. Yeah. San Diego State's playing this weekend in Arizona, actually a week before the Padres start playing in Arizona. We'll react to that conversation. Plus, how many All-Stars does ESPN project for the Padres in 2025? That's next. All right, so it's great to connect with Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio. He basically, I mean, it's not even a confirmation. This is people, Jim. They are payroll cash strapped. The San Diego Padres are payroll cash strapped. And he can, what is wrong with your computer, dude? Get a new computer. I'm out. I'm done. I'm not doing the
Jim's
2025
computer
season.
is payroll strapped.
Yeah. Have in common. They both need new computers. There you are.
I don't know what happened.
It's fine. It happened.
Sorry.
But he confirmed, he's like, give Preller the creativity because they've been up against it, from a payroll perspective, not a CBT perspective, yet he still added a number 4 starter like Nick Pivetta.
Yeah. I mean, credit to Preller, man.
Yeah.
Like, we've been praising him all offseason about what he did last year, questioning, like, hey, can you back that up? Even with maybe more restraints? Now, it's still yet to be seen. I mean, you could go into this year, Nick Pivetta could be awful, and Jason Hayward and Connor Jobe and Elias Diaz could be bad as well. But
there's no guarantee.
Obviously, no guarantee. The Nick Pivetta move is the move that makes the offseason not feel as bad as it felt just 48 out, 24 hours ago.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it's the putting the team over the hump, but it is a definite need that they had.
Sorry for that reaction.
What are you looking at?
I'll send it to you.
Just look at your computer and just made a motion of like, what the F? Anyway, what the hell was I saying? I don't even know. You just completely e-break the entire segment.
Sorry. I've done it twice
You've
already.
e-break the entire segment.
Well, two things.
I have to look what you were freaking looking at. Oh, must be nice.
No, it's nobody's gonna get it.
Right.
But you and I will.
Yeah.
Okay, here's an e-break. So 2025 All-Stars. Remember last year the Padres had what, like 100 All-Stars? Their whole outfield was an All-Star, right? With Profar, Merrill, and Toddy. Who else was an All-Star last year for the Padres and who started who started the All-Star game for the Padres last year? Just Profar?
Yes.
Was a starter.
Their entire outfield was
made the team.
Was All-Stars.
So this year ESPN projects, and this is David Schoenfeld at ESPN.com just posted this afternoon, project no Padres starters in the All-Star game. Zero.
Okay.
Zilch. Now, it projects Jackson Merrill and Fernando Tatis Jr. as an All-Star along with Dylan Cease. I know it doesn't mean anything, but it does speak to their overall years. This ain't the NBA where everyone just walks out, Steph Curry gets votes, yada, yada, yada. I mean, baseball is way different than that.
It's so hard to predict All-Stars every year in baseball because things change so much. I agree.
That's what I'm saying. But I guess you're basically predicting who's going to have a good year. And they would put Cease, Merrill, and Tatis in that category. I would sign up for that. I think if Cease, Merrill, and Tatis have good years, hopefully the Padres are having good years too. But you know who's noticeably absent? Manny Machado, who's healthy.
Great, doubt him
this year. Yeah, that's right. Put that in the bulletin board.
Yeah, doubt him. Oh, they don't project me as an all-star. Who wrote this piece?
David Schoenfeld.
Hey, David Schoenfeld. Suck it.
You think that's going to come up tomorrow when position players report? Would you? Hey, Manny, I read the ESPN.com article 4 days ago.
David Schoenfeld doesn't think you're going to be an all-star this year.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
No disrespect.
That'd be an amazing question,
David Schoenfeld, but the response from Manny would probably be
he doesn't care. He's not going to get into that on February 5th or whatever.
No, the most important thing with Manny is he's healthy, which he was not last year. The elbow was a issue.
Huge problem. Yeah.
But once he got things going in the middle of the season, he took off. And you're going to need that Manny more often than not this year. We say it every season. It'd be great if Manny had a hot start to start the season.
It's true. Well, you said there's the 1 year. What year did you reference? Was it 21?
It might have been 20. Was it 21?
21, they played really well out of the gates.
I think it was 21.
They were great, and then the wheels fell off.
Yeah, I think it was 21.
Yeah. So it's happened, but he's also been here 6 years.
Yeah, 22, they started out fine, but they kicked it into gear.
Yep. I'm just thinking Manny specifically.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The team's had good starts.
Right.
Since he's been here.
Last year was awful. Yeah, I remember in 2022, and I was like, Manny's got to be better.
Oh, that's when you ripped him.
And then he hit walk off after walk off, and everyone's like, delete your Twitter, Jim. I'm like, what are you talking about? What?
Yeah, I remember that.
23 was just a bad year overall. He did have moments, but he was also hurt. So yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what a 100% Manny Machado can do right out the rip.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just looking real quick. What would you say Manny's best career year? Can that be replicated again from this point on?
Yeah, I think he has. Machado. In the next 3 years, I think he can put together 2 good seasons that are comparable with maybe one that's maybe you could consider the best.
Yeah, his 2022 is the year he finished second.
Ever. Yeah,
the second MVP. That's the highest he's ever finished. Right, he's never won an MVP. Yeah. He finished third one other time. That year, Jim, was 298 batting average with an 898 OPS. He had 32 home runs, drove in 102. Can he do that this year? And to your point, I think he can. I don't think he's that far removed from the 2022 player now that he's got this elbow hopefully fully intact. All right, on the other side, BJ Rains. We'll switch gears. We have Aztec basketball tickets to give away for Tuesday night. San Diego State, like to put it simply, has a massive game on Saturday night that you can hear right here on San Diego Sports 760. But here's the thing. It's not just massive for San Diego State. It's massive for Boise State. Maybe a must-win game for both of these teams. So BJ Rains covers Boise State. He'll join us. He's joined us before. He'll join us on the other side. We'll look ahead to Saturday at Viejas Arena, a blackout for the Aztecs and the Broncos. We're here until 6 p.m. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by the Jim Buttrell Real Estate Team. We'll start with the Padres. They've made multiple moves, John. One's not official yet. One is Kyle Hart, left-handed pitcher, pitched in the KBO last year. They signed him to a 1-year deal this morning. Nick Pivetta, as reported last night by Jeff Passan, signed a 4-year, $55 million deal with the Padres with an opt-out after year number 2. NFL news of the day, the Jets officially released Aaron Rodgers. What a run it was in New York. And tonight is the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show, 6 p.m. with Coach Dutch and John right here on San Diego Sports 760. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Buttrell has the buyers. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2, and we will shift gears here to talk about the importance of Saturday night at Viejas Arena. What a huge game it is, a blackout at Viejas. It'll be an unbelievable environment for San Diego State and Boise State, a couple of rivals in the Mountain West. It's been a really good series, and Boise State's had a lot of success in recent years against the Aztecs. We have BJ Rains, who does a terrific job covering all things Boise State. Bronco Nation News. He's done it for a long time, and he's back with us here in San Diego. Before I go there, because we were just listening to the Open, and I told Jim here, I go, I'm pretty sure BJ is a diehard Cardinals fan. And you heard us there going back and forth on Mike Schilt. We've always wondered this because we've covered Mike Schilt for the last couple of years. He is like
1 year.
Mr. Sunshine, second season.
True.
He's Mr. Sunshine, man. He like, you can do no wrong. You could lose 5 straight. And he's like, man, we're going to turn this thing around. How was he perceived when he was managing the Cardinals in terms of like, did he have that level of optimism when he was managing the Cardinals, or what was the perception on Mike Schilt in St. Louis?
Oh, I loved him. I mean, he won Manager of the Year and then got fired or whatever. It was crazy. Yeah, I mean, they absolutely loved him there. He was not afraid to not go against umpires or say, whatever you want him to say. And he was kind of came from the Tony La Russa tree in terms of being fired up and all that. And I don't know if he's mellowed at all out there, but he was a great guy. I loved him. Came up from the minors, earned his spot, and he it was a weird situation where he didn't believe in some of the analytics and things they wanted, I guess, for some players moving forward. And he, decided he didn't want to be a part of it. But yeah, it's been kind of downhill since for the Cardinals. I'm just curious what it's like. I heard you sign Nick Pivetta to actually sign a free agent or make a trade or do something. I'm just curious what that's like, because I think the Cardinals are the only team in baseball that literally hasn't spent a dollar in the offseason.
We spent 5 months, BJ, saying Padres do something, because by Padres standards, it was crazy quiet. But Nick Pivetta is a real addition. But
it's nice to have something to talk about.
It is. But you're right, though. The St. Louis Cardinals, of all franchises, for St. Louis to be so quiet, as successful and proud of an organization as it is, I know there's a bit of a youth movement, but that still is almost unbelievable that they haven't done anything all offseason.
Yeah, and they were going to trade Nolan Arenado and go at even more of a youth movement. And the 5 teams he wanted to go to, they couldn't work out a trade, so they just announced that he's probably staying. So maybe that's our acquisition, I guess, is we're keeping him when we thought we weren't. But weird
move.
Weird times as a Cardinals baseball fan, no doubt about it.
All right, let's get into what our listeners want us to talk about, which includes the Padres, but also the Aztecs and the Broncos. I mean, you know it because you cover it. You talk about it every day, like I talk about it every day. It's a weird spot a little bit. Wouldn't you agree, BJ? Like middle of February, this collision course where you got like a must-win game for 2 teams. I mean, I think you could make the argument San Diego State doesn't, quote unquote, have to, but the path gets real narrow. I don't know if you could make the argument that Boise State doesn't, quote unquote, have to win this game for an at-large berth. So how do you see this one?
No, I mean, they're on the peripheral of the at-large. They probably need to go 6-1 in these final 7 games to have any kind of real argument. But I think any bracketologist you talk to, any kind of bracket prognosticator, they don't really see a path for Boise State if they don't win this game. They don't have a lot of good road wins. They lost at all the tough road venues they've been to. I guess UNLV might be considered their best road win at this point, which isn't saying much. Right. So I think that certainly to get a quad 1 win on the road at San Diego State would be massive for them. I mean, they actually have, I know the overall better win. Obviously, San Diego State has it, but you look at the net rankings, Boise State is the only team in the conference that has 2 wins against teams in the top 27 of the net. They beat Clemson and they beat St. Mary's, and the St. Mary's win was neutral site. So, they actually have a decent, couple of wins on their resume, but they also have a horrible loss to Boston College. It was in the championship game of a tournament down in the Cayman Islands. So overall, their resume is just not good enough right now, probably. But if they could somehow go 6-1 down the stretch here and include a win over San Diego State and no terrible losses to Fresno or Air Force, they're going to at least have a chance. And but certainly that I think any at-large talk won't seriously pick up unless they find a way to win on Saturday.
Last time San Diego State played Boise on the road, good game. San Diego State pulled out with a victory. Miles Byrd was fantastic in that game. But before that game, Boise State has had success against San Diego State. What's it been the reason why they've had this recent success? Take away the last game against San Diego State.
I don't really know, to be honest. They just had such great games. Max Rice obviously had a lot to do with that. He went crazy in that game on senior night in Boise a couple of years ago, and then threw in the crazy shot last year at Viejas from almost half court as the shot clock was going down. I'm not sure what it is. Boise State's just typically has some veteran players that maybe don't get phased as much at Viejas Arena as some other teams maybe do, and they've obviously played them pretty well. In Boise, I think they had won 5 out of 6 or something in Boise before that last game earlier this year. But typically Boise State, their advantage is on the rebounding, on the glass, and defensively. And if it's a lower scoring game, like it typically is against San Diego State in years past, Boise State's been built to kind of win those kind of games. So it's just been a decent matchup for them in recent years. But obviously up there up here in Boise a couple weeks ago, Boise State gave up 15 offensive rebounds, 21 second chance points to San Diego State. And Brian Dutcher, said after the game to me and Mark Ziegler, we just flipped the script on them and did to them what they usually do to us. And so Boise State knows that it's going to come down to rebounding and defense in this one, and they just cannot. Boise State's the number 2 defensive rebounding team in the country. They literally rank number 2 in the country in terms of opponents' percentage shots they get back, and so they're one of the best in the country or the best in the country. And for whatever reason, against San Diego State, they gave up 15 offensive rebounds and, like I said, 21 second chance points, and it cost them. So it's pretty simple for Boise State on Saturday. Rebound the ball, don't give up offensive rebounds and second chance points. And if they can do that, they feel like they'll have a pretty good chance to win. PJ
Reynolds, Bronco Nation News, with us right now on Jon and Jim. You compare them out west to where it was a year ago. Obviously, they're nowhere close to getting 6 teams into the NCAA tournament. That was a once in a generation type year. But I would argue the league's, it's been very good. I don't even know if I expected it to be this good. Now, ultimately, I don't know how many teams they get in. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3, maybe there's an outside shot and more than that. But what do you make of the league this year overall and comparing it to last year?
Well, I'll tell you what, whoever wins the league and gets first place and has to play that 11 a.m. game on Thursday, their reward is going to be maybe playing either San Jose State or Wyoming.
Right.
That's a scary proposition right there with what both those teams can do if they light it up. So I think Nevada, I think UNLV, I think some of these teams could come up and get anybody on any given day. They've all shown they can do it. So maybe it's not quite as top heavy in terms of the out of conference wins and the quad 1 wins and a lot of the quad wins that the conference got last year in league that turned out the committee didn't care about. But those just aren't there as much. So some of the metrics aren't quite there where they've been. But you look at the top 3, 4, 5 teams. They're all teams that certainly could compete outside the conference on a national level if given the opportunity and something like the tournament. So I agree with you. Obviously Fresno, Air Force, as bad as can be. But I still think the middle might be, in the 3rd of 4 tiers, I guess, in that Nevada, San Jose, Wyoming range is still better than maybe some people give credit for. So I think it's just the lack of computer metrics, the lack of quad 1 wins that are holding the league down from that standpoint. But you look up and there's still the 6th ranked league at KenPom. They still have, some really nice out of conference wins. And I think, trending towards getting 3 teams in the tournament. I mean, yeah, it's not what it was last year, but I still think it's a quality league, and there's not a lot of easy nights in this league.
You know, the Aztecs are a very young team, one of the youngest teams Dutch has ever coached here at San Diego State, but they have a lot of talent. What do you make of all the young talent on this Aztec roster?
Well, I mean, when I talked to Brian Dutcher over the summer, I write the Big 12. Or I do the Big 12 also, but I do the Mountain West stories for Lindy's magazine. And I talked to all the head coaches for Lindy's magazine in June. And when I talked to Brian Dutcher on the phone, I was going into that conversation with a lot of people thinking San Diego State was going to be, 5th, 6th, 7th in the conference. Didn't look like they had a ton of great additions in the portal. They had lost, so many guys to last year's team. And so I kind of wasn't sure what to make of them. And when I got off the phone with Brian Dutcher, I moved them up 4 spots in my rankings. I think I had him 3rd or 4th. I mean, just because of how excited he was. And you think about the track record he has, and if he's telling you that he really likes some of these players, Magoon Guas of the world, and nobody knew who they were, you just had to assume and take his word for it. It's proven to be true. I mean, Magoon Guas looks like an NBA player, looks like a star. And you mentioned Miles Bird and the improvement that he's made, and some of the other guys kind of fitting in, to their roles, Nick Boyd, and some of these guys. So I've been impressed with them. And I know some of the scores obviously are a little closer than people would have wanted. Maybe hasn't helped the metrics of the world, in terms of not getting the big wins over the teams you're supposed to beat. But I mean, as bad as it is to fall behind by 17, it's even more impressive to find a way to come back and win some of these games. So they've been they've got the pedigree, they've got the coaching, they've got the history and tradition. I mean, in the end, you always know San Diego State's going to be right there when it matters, and I don't think it's going to be any different this year.
It's kind of amazing, and I know you've been watching because I've seen what you've been putting on social media. I think they've had 4 runs of 17-0 or better in conference play, and they've only done that one other time ever, and they went 30-2 in 2019-20. I think never had they had more than one of those runs in a season, a 17-0 run or better. They've never done more than once. They've done it 4 times, and by the way, they've needed it. It's not like they've used those 17-0 runs in 99-49 wins. Like, they've needed those runs. They've come at just the right time. What's it been like to see how that's played out, right? Like, because you typically think youth, all right, well, with a young team, that's not going to set you up to go on a 17-0 run when you trail by 17 points in the second half. But for whatever reason, they've been able to kind of pull that rabbit out of a hat.
Well, to be completely honest with you, me and some of my friends have profited off of it. I mean, I obviously don't wager on Boise State games or games that I'm covering for obvious reasons. But if I'm sitting there on a Wednesday night watching a game with some buddies, I'm known to throw $20 down or something. And some of these games where San Diego State has gotten down huge numbers at home, I mean, you were getting some great odds for them to come back and win those games. And so it's been really impressive to watch. I mean, they're obviously never out of a game. Some of these runs they've had, just how quickly they turned around that game. A lot of the ones at home you expected them to win. The other night at San Jose, I just didn't have a great feeling about that. When you're down 17 at the half, and in that building, we've all been to it. It's just sleepy, it's bad, and it's just not the same as getting the crowd behind you to come back. When you're at Viejas. So for them to erase a 17-point lead before the first media timeout, I mean, that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. So, like I said, I know the scores haven't looked great, and they've gotten down, and it's been ugly. But I mean, the final score is all that matters, and who wins the game. And they've been super impressive. And like I said, in the end, I think anybody that counts out San Diego State in a game, in a season, in a conference, you're dumb. I mean, they're just always going to be there, and that's why I think when it all comes to at the end of the season, I think San Diego State's going to be right there and in the NCAA tournament, and a team that nobody's going to want to play in the conference tournament. And their pieces are starting to come together. And like I said, for Boise State fans or other people around the league, they may not have the household names they've had in the past and 3, 4, 5-year starters, but Dutch is getting them going, and I think when it's all said and done down the stretch here, I don't see them losing a ton of games.
I think it might be under the radar, but I think it's been one of the better series in the West. San Diego State and Boise State over the years. I mean, Boise's been very good. They've gotten into a lot of NCAA tournaments, and San Diego State, as we know, has been very good as well. And it'll continue, by the way, beyond next year, because these teams are heading for the Pac-12 together, which I think is good for college basketball as well. So, BJ, we're looking forward to it, man. Travel safe. We'll see you Saturday at Viejas Arena for what should be another really good game.
Yeah, it's dumping snow right here in Boise, so I'm excited to get out. I just hope I heard it was raining down there.
It's been pouring, man. I mean, we didn't have rain for a year. We didn't have rain for a legit year.
Get some sun by tomorrow at 4 o'clock so I can get out to my favorite beach spot and watch the sunset.
We'll work on that.
We'll try. We'll ask for you.
Thanks, Pete. We'll see you Saturday.
Thank you.
All right. BJ Rains, Bronco Nation News. All right. We'll get you ready for the Aztecs again. Coming up on Saturday, we have Aztec tickets to give away. We'll hear from Harold Reynolds coming up on the state of the Padres. Harold Reynolds has some ideas. MLB Network. You'll hear from Harold Reynolds coming up next, Jon and Jim. All right, the all-new iHeartRadio app. If you download it right now, you get presets. And in your presets, like a car radio, you can put in San Diego Sports 760, listen to the station and the show live. You can also put in Jon and Jim, and you can listen to the show on demand by interview or hour. So if you have not downloaded the all-new iHeartRadio app, now is the time. Please make sure to put us in your presets. Jon and Jim and San Diego Sports 760. Harold Reynolds.
Dude, so
I haven't heard this.
Earlier in the offseason, he was saying the Padres need to trade Fernando Tatis Jr.
We played that here. I remember that.
I'm like, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you watch the game? Like, do you what's going on here?
What was the argument to trade for it? I don't know. How could you even make that compelling argument? Why?
I forget.
He makes too much.
But it was stupid.
Yeah.
And then today, after the Nick Pivetta signing, he has to say this about what he thinks the Padres still need to do.
This is going to be the group that they open camp with, and this is a doggone good starting rotation. Fifth spot's up for grabs, and we think Waldron and Randy Vasquez will be the best options there, perhaps. I don't know, Musgrove, it says expected to miss the entire season. That is probably accurate, but I think Joe would like to come back and maybe pitch after the All-Star break if he could. They're not counting on that. Pivetta to the Padres on a very interesting structured deal.
Interesting because of the back end money coming to him. Yeah. I still think now they have him in the fold. Either Cease or King is getting moved. They have to replenish that minor league system. You know, they made so many moves over the last 3 years, you know, from Soto to all the different moves they've made. They got to beef that minor league system.
They've also got, you know, Bogarts and Darvish and Manny. I mean, there's a outstanding payroll commitment out there that they got to get a little relief from somehow.
Yeah, and they're going at it a whole different way, too, than they did before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Peter Seidler clearly was making a big run.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with his passing, I think we're seeing the changing of the Padres' direction, financial structure. And I think with that, you got to replenish with minor league players that are up in. One thing the Padres do well, they evaluate and they develop great young talent. And that's why they're able to make all the moves that they've made over the last few years.
That's right.
And I think they'll make a move. I think I wouldn't be shocked to see both King and Cease go.
I would. Both of them, I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
That is the I'm like, dude, do some prep.
Yeah, no prep equals that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, you got to have some knowledge base to start that conversation. To say, I think one of them is going to be moved, I think is a fair statement. Now, I don't agree with it now that I've heard from Preller and Dennis Lynn. I don't think it's going to happen. But to say I would move one to restock my system, that's not why I would move one of them. I'd move one of them because I don't have the money, but by getting a return that helps my major league team. I could care less about restocking the farm system. Why would you move someone that's going to make 33 starts for you, that struck out like 15 dudes in a playoff game like Michael King, to restock your farm system?
Yeah, if he stopped with, they could maybe still move. Yeah. And maybe this is like a reason why they signed Nick Pivetta.
Because they need to move a player.
Is that they're still looking to potentially move Cease or King. And then he takes it a bridge further. It's like, they need to move those two guys because they need to get more pieces in their farm system. And then
I think both will move,
bro.
Both.
Stop
no
it.
World.
I don't listen to much Harold Reynolds at all, and for good reason. But like, I know he's dealing with a broad brush. Like, he's got to cover the entire sport, and me and you are hyper focused on just one team. So it's easy for us to when someone talks about them in that general sense, we're
we
like,
will attack that.
Yeah, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. So I get that. But come on, man. There has to be a producer there that beforehand they talk about topics, and the producer has to let him know, all right, this has been reported, this has been said, looks like they're not going to move Dylan Cease and X, Y, and Z. And he just goes out there and just blatantly just
blows it all up.
Does not understand what's going on.
To your point, if this was Stephen A, when not just broad brush, but you got 10 sports and he covers 2 more than like MLB.
Right.
Okay, Stephen A can be out in left field and sound stupid. This is Major League Baseball Network. The Padres actually own 3%. All teams do. Like, this is Major League Baseball Network. How could you be that far off? Twice in one offseason, and there's probably been more. But the Tatis trade thing has never made any sense. Nobody's advocated for it ever.
Honestly, dumber than this.
I think it is dumber. No, but this went even further. We said I think both could move. King and Cease. Nobody has said that at any point, even in the deepest depth of the offseason, that both would move. Nobody has said that.
And he's insinuating that both should move. That they should trade both of them because they need to get more talent in their minor leagues. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, but Fort Wayne just it's just been tough to watch that outfield.
The Tin Caps really need to replenish their depth and rotation.
The Storm hat is so nice. You got to have some really good players to fill out those hats. That's
so
what are we
stupid.
Talking about?
So dumb. Like, give me a break. Stop it. Anybody that tells you with a team of Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., Jackson Merrill on it, Xander Bogaerts, Yeah, they need to trade their top 2 pitchers to replenish their farm system and not try to win this year.
Well, I do like how who was hosting? Was Vescursion hosting there?
It was Vescursion.
Vescursion was like, I'd be shocked
he
if
tried.
They traded both. He tried to go along with you think they could move one? He said, I think they can move both. Like, stop.
But even Matty V, who still deals with a broad brush.
He knows San Diego.
He does know San Diego, but he didn't really push back that much on Harold. If I was there, I'd be like, what are you talking about?
Did push back when he's like, I wouldn't be surprised if they move King and Cease. And they're like, we would. Like, it's one thing to your point to say, I think they'll move Michael King, and here's why. Again, I disagree with it. When you say move Michael King and Dylan Cease, you need to let yourself out of the room.
Yeah, you need to stop talking.
When you're on an MLB network.
Yeah, he's come up with some ridiculous
bad takes
this offseason regarding the Padres. I don't care what he says about the Red Sox or whatever, but when it comes to the Padres takes this year, Harold Reynolds has been pretty awful.
I wouldn't be shocked to see both King and Cease go.
Well, I would. Both of them, I'd be shocked.
There you go.
Yeah,
guess what, Harold? They're not getting moved, or at least both of them are getting moved.
Do we have the you're an idiot, you don't know baseball? Because, I mean, that's what it screams.
It really,
honestly,
does, yeah.
That's what it screams.
And he knows more about baseball than me and you because he was an all-star, played baseball.
No, he doesn't.
But from that clip, he doesn't know.
I don't care about where you should, if you should open up your stance from the right side, and here's why, because you're getting beat on breaking pitches. But what I care about is like transactions. So yeah, maybe he's good with inside white lines.
Yeah.
But inside white lines is not what you're going to be asked to do for 7 months in the offseason.
Yeah.
You're an idiot and you don't know baseball.
All right. I want to hear from AJ Preller on the LA Dodgers. That should be his first priority, right? Let's hear from AJ Preller on the Dodgers and the NL West on the other side. Plus, an all-time fumble with the NBA All-Star game coming up or not. It's Jon and Jim.
This update is brought to you by the Jim Buttrell Real Estate Team. Padres making multiple moves. One's official, one's not official as of yet. Last night, Jeff Passan reporting the Padres and Nick Pivetta agreed to a 4-year, $55 million deal with an opt-out after year 2. And this morning, it did become official here. Left-handed pitcher Kyle Hart signed a 1-year, $1 million deal with the Padres. NFL news of the day, Jets officially released Aaron Rodgers. And tonight is the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show, 6 p.m. with Coach Dutch and John right here on San Diego Sports 760. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Buttrell is the buyer. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
All right, John and Jim with you. We do have 3 giveaways today, Jim.
Okay.
And they are tickets to see the Aztecs on Tuesday against Fresno State. We'll do that in the 4 o'clock hour for Trainwreck Radio.
Oh, nice.
We have Australian Pink Floyd tickets. You know what? We're going to give those away between now and the next time we take a break.
Okay.
And you don't have to go to Australia. It's going to be right here in San Diego.
That's nice.
Don't have to go to Melbourne.
No. You don't have to eat Vegemite or anything gross.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't either.
I'm surprised you don't. It's they eat it in
Australia.
Yeah, it's like a paste.
Pink Floyd.
It's gross. I'm actually surprised John doesn't eat it because it's like
because I eat all gross things. Yeah. So we have Australian Pink Floyd tickets. This is Sunday, August 17th on campus at San Diego State, the Cal Coast Credit Union Open Air Theater. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. We'll tell you when to call. We'll give those away between now and our next break. We also have tickets to see the Warren Haynes Band that we'll give away between now and 6 p.m. So AJ Preller spoke with the media for the first time this spring today. We heard from Mike Schilt yesterday. We've heard from Preller and Schilt today. He was asked a variety of topics, obviously about Nick Pivetta, Dylan Cease's future, but he was also asked about the division and specifically the LA Dodgers. This was AJ Preller earlier today.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, obviously, you got to have a lot of guys step up. I think starts with, on the position player side, we've got, multiple players that could be an MVP consideration and having those guys play to the best of their ability. We're talking about Tatis and, Machado and, Xander and Jackson to lead it. And, with guys like Arise, hopefully winning another batting title, you're looking at a starting pitching group that, has a chance to, you look up and if we have multiple guys that are in that Cy Young consideration individually, strong bullpen health is always a big part of it. We've seen that at different points in the last 4 or 5 years. And then a continuation of what we saw last year. I think with Shilty, the coaching staff, very detail oriented, the little things that go to winning baseball games that are not seen by a lot of people that we got really good at. And we've done well at different points over the last 5 years, but we got very good at last year. And, a group that just enjoys being together. It's a real thing. It's hard to quantify that or put a number on that, but, players that like competing with each other, like being around each other. I think all those things, like having some elite talent and players that go out and perform well, and then, having some attention to detail and doing it a little bit better than some other groups. And then just having some players that enjoy competing and doing it for the fans of San Diego and, taking advantage of an unbelievable atmosphere that we have at Petco. I think you look up at all those things. If a lot of those are a lot of those boxes are yeses and checked, I think we're going to have a very successful year and a team that can win a division title.
That's easy. Okay. Sounds great.
He was asked, what's it going to take to beat the Dodgers? And he's like, a lot.
Just all those things.
Yeah, everything needs to just hit.
Everything.
That's what I've said. If you get everything to hit, you're going to be a pretty good team.
Right.
But that not always works out.
There's probably a good amount of teams that would say that. Not all the teams, because some of these teams have no shot.
If everything hits for the Marlins, they're still not winning 80
That's why
games.
I say not all the teams, but there's probably 20 teams that feel like they've got a shot to be one of the top 12, which makes the postseason. I'm all for the conversation of, hey, if we do some of these things well, we really feel as if we'll be in the postseason. I would agree with that. When you start going down the path of, if we do all these things well, we're going to win the division I don't know. And now, again, he was asked about it, and he gave a very fair response, which is, we don't need one thing to happen. We need 10 or 15 or 20 to happen. And that's probably accurate. And if they did hit, if you hit on 9 of 10 things or 14 out of 15 things, then maybe they would have a shot. But I'd rather look at it through the lens of what's it going to take to reach the postseason? And from that lens, I think the starting pitching they have, the top of the lineup they have, the back of the bullpen they have, you can start easily having that conversation, not guaranteeing it. But I'm happy to have that conversation. But the difference between 87 wins and 105 wins in this division is a huge difference.
Yeah, it could be like a 2022 year where they won 89 games, but the Dodgers won 100 plus.
Right. So you were, what was the difference in standings? 15, 20 games that year.
Yeah, they ran away with everything. And then the division series happened, and
good point.
Padres got past them with the NLCS. So, in the postseason, the cliche adage of anything could happen, in baseball, but you also need to have pieces for those things to happen. I look at the Nick Pivetta signing. In the last 3 years they've been in the postseason, the Padres. One of the biggest things that has ended their season was lack of depth in their starting rotation. 2020, they had no pitchers.
Right.
2022, look what happened in Philadelphia. They were throwing out Clevenger and Sean Manaea in a must-win game, and you're like, this is bad. And then last year, Joe goes down, and you got Cease going on 3 days rest, and it turned out to be a disaster. Now, they still had a chance to win that series. There's no excuses here, but the idea going into last postseason was they had King, Musgrove, Darvish, and Cease ready to go.
Right.
The entirety of that series could have been changed if Musgrove didn't get hurt. He's pitching game 4, not Cease. And now going into this year, big ifs. But you got 4 dudes. If they stay healthy, you feel pretty good with, especially King, Cease, and Darvish. And if Pivetta can pan out to be a very reliable 4 guy, that's what good teams have. Is they have 4 good starters. Top end, they have some aces. Now you don't always have to have that. Dodgers last year won a World Series with 2-3 guys, right? Flaherty, Buehler, and Yamamoto. And their bullpen was great. But just that peace of mind and that comfort of knowing if these 4 dudes stay healthy and you make the postseason, that you got 4 dudes that you feel comfortable with.
You scoffed at something. Was it that Harold Reynolds said a segment ago, or maybe it was Vasgersian about Musgrove, who just said recently that we just played 20 minutes ago that Musgrove could return?
It was Matt Vasgersian.
And you were like, there's no chance. I mean, all fair, right? You're like, there's no
after the All-Star break.
That's too soon. But I know this because this has happened twice, like in the last 3 years with Musgrove. I know this. If the Padres are good, you will hear in the second half of the year, Musgrove is efforting to return for some type of run. Don't you know that's happening? Guys can come back in 10 months. There's guys that have come back from Tommy John in 10 months. He's going to be 12 months if you get to October.
Okay.
I'm just saying, that's it. Do you agree, though, if the Padres finish 92-70 and they're in the postseason and Musgrove's been throwing, that you're going to hear chatter about him coming back?
Well, of course, because it's Joe, and he's the guy that needs to have someone stop him from hurting.
I agree
himself.
with that. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying you're going to hear about it.
And it's a credit to Joe because he works his ass off and he wants to be out there, and of course he does. And he's going to work his ass off and be with the team a lot this year. He's already said that. He's not going away. He's going to be with the team as much as he possibly can. And he's going to be working a lot to try to get back as soon as possible. I just think that would, if they're lucky enough to make the postseason next year, and you do have Cease, King, Darvish, and Pivetta, and they're all healthy going into the postseason, and Joe's like, I'm ready to go, and it's October 1st. That's going to,
you're right.
It's not happening.
It's far from likely. I just know with the way the Musgrove saga has played out over the years, you're always thinking about his return. He's always talking about the possibility of his return.
Yeah, just take the year.
Yeah, take the year, which gives you an extra 6 months.
Give an extra 6 months. Be fully ready for 2025 instead of trying to rush, 2026 instead of trying to rush to get back for 2025.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, so still to come here today. If you missed our conversation with Mike Ferrin, we covered everything on the start of spring training for the Padres, including what this Nick Pivetta signing could mean for San Diego. If you missed Mike Ferrin, we'll play that back for you in the 5 o'clock hour. Jim's referenced this as well. Brian Dutcher show at 6 p.m. Dutch will join us live. If you've got a question for Brian Dutcher later on this evening, he'll be with us at 6 p.m. You can always text us, 70470. Start your message with the word team. Again, 70470. Start it with the word team if you've got a question for Brian Dutcher, who will join us live coming up tonight at 6 p.m. On the other side, is it All-Star Weekend? It is. NBA All-Star Weekend is here in Northern California, in San Francisco. Is this an all-time gaffe or not? We will explain on the other side. Plus, the wrap is coming up at 4 p.m. Plus, great giveaways today as well on Jon and Jim. We're here until 6 p.m. Brian Dutcher show coming up at 6. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. Aztecs basketball Saturday night, Boise State, a blackout. Get there early. Wear black. Our pregame coverage begins at 6. Ted Leitner on the call just after 7 right here on your home of the Aztecs. San Diego Sports 760. So I didn't realize this is as big of a deal as Jim is going to make it out to be. The NBA All-Star Game is this weekend, which includes then the festivities that surround it, slam dunk contests and three-point shooting and everything else, that skills, everything else that goes into it, right? A whole weekend. People watch. I know I did when I was young. It was great. It was awesome when I was young. I'm not as into it anymore, but that's fine. I think it's still a successful event, right? All-Star Weekend. It's a big deal. So what is it that the NBA has gotten so wrong here in 2025 in San Francisco?
Where do the Warriors play?
They play at the Chase Center.
Which is where?
San Francisco, California.
Okay, who's the greatest shooter of all time? His name's Steph Curry.
Harden? No, I get it. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and what is one of the
three-point contests?
Exactly.
Right? Okay, so there's a three-point contest, and Steph, are you going to tell me he's not in it?
He's not in it.
Why isn't he in it? Let's just start
He's already
there.
done it like 5 times.
Okay,
I get it.
Like you said, San Francisco later in his career.
But if you remember last year, do you remember last year what they did?
I do. They did was it Ionescu? Is that how you say it? Sabrina Ionescu?
Yeah, Steph versus Sabrina.
Yeah, and where was the All-Star game? I don't even remember. But yeah, they competed against each other. I want to say Steph maybe won. That's how I remember it.
Steph did win.
Yeah. Okay.
So Shams reported this morning that the NBA WNBA shootout, with Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu, is now off.
Is there a reason?
NBA Mike Bass said, quote, "We weren't able to land on a plan that we thought would raise the bar off of last year's special moment.
Okay.
We all agreed not to proceed and will instead keep the focus on All-Star Sunday's new format."
They were in Indiana last year.
Indiana.
That's
right.
And so that's a miss, because I feel like the biggest thing that came out of, or the one thing that I think fans actually liked last year from NBA All-Star Saturday night,
was that back and forth.
Was that moment.
I don't remember the slam dunk. I truthfully don't remember the three-point contest other than that.
Yeah. And so how do you fumble that in San Francisco at Steph's home arena? That's where I'm not saying that they fumbled it by not having it again this year, but the fact that in your hometown, or at least the place where you play, your home arena.
Hometown's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You don't have this set up?
Now, has it already, is one of the issues here, and I get it, maybe could we do something else? Could it be, I'm making it up, if we did Ionescu and Curry, could it be Caitlin Clark and name some other brilliant three-point shooter?
Caitlin Clark has already said that she's not going to do anything this year because she wants to wait till the WNBA All-Star Game in Indiana.
Okay, then you can bring men to the WNBA. I'm all for that as well, but I'm kind of wondering, and I hear your point, but if we did it a year ago, that exact competition, Steph Curry against Sabrina Ionescu, we did it 1 year ago. Yeah. If that competition remained the same, we did that event. Now things could change. Things could absolutely change, and players age, and guys have good nights and bad nights. If we want to see Ionescu beat Curry, okay, and maybe that would happen under a different circumstance. But they did do it, I guess is my only thought. If it had never been done, like, man, this was lined up, and why aren't you doing it? It's never been done. That to me would be more of a miss.
I think what would have been cool is if they had like Steph and Clay against like Sabrina and
another
that was
Kelsey
proposed.
Plum. Like, you got to do something.
When you say Steph and Clay, would this be the same thing though? A 3-point or like a game?
Not a game, but like 2-on. Yes, Brent.
Yes, they threw that out. It was supposed to. They wanted to do Steph and Clay versus Sabrina and Caitlin
like
Clark.
A half court or whatever.
Yeah, they wanted to do 2-on-2, but they couldn't work it out. So
2-on-2 or like 3-point shooting? Because
no, it was 2-on-2. They wanted to play an actual 2-on-2 game. Was the idea? Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
It'd be ridiculous because Steph and Clay would destroy them.
Yeah, I mean 2-on-2. Yeah, I mean
2-on-2 as far as like a 3-point shooting competition. Not 2-on-2, actually 2-on-2.
I mean, I'd watch that because but I'm with you. I mean, that's hard to envision. I don't see how Steph and Clay.
It's a tough 3-point 2-on-2.
I'd be for that. I'm all for it. I do agree that a lot of this stuff has gotten stale. 3-point shooters, the 7-2 dudes shoot 44%. Like 3-point shooting is just like you fall out of bed and make 3-point shots in the NBA. So some of the 3-point contests have gotten stale. They all hit them at a ridiculous clip. The slam dunk contest used to have Michael Jordan in it. It doesn't anymore.
Wemby's shooting logo threes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I do agree that evolving it with what they did a year ago, I do think had traction and was good for social media and probably brought viewers to the TV. I don't know where you go next. I'm all for if they wanted to do it again. The fact that it was already done, I don't know if I'll miss it as much because we actually saw it play out. You know, like they did do it. If they hadn't done it, I would think it's a big miss to not do it. The fact that they did it, I'm kind of with you. And where can we go? I mean, I'd like to see them do something, but maybe they need to do it to the next. You know, what's next here? Because to do it last year and then not do anything the year following, yeah, that probably is a miss.
And the big fish here is Caitlin Clark. Like
100%.
You could have got Caitlin Clark to do something.
Now, can you bring Steph Curry to the WNBA All-Star game to participate with Caitlin Clark? And I don't know if that's been done previously with an NBA player or not. Right. WNBA weekend. I think that has value.
I don't know if it has.
I think that's a really good idea with value.
But the thing here where I say they fumbled the bag is you're not having Steph involved at all in your NBA All-Star Saturday night.
Right. So he's playing. He's starting, I presume, for one of these 7 teams in the All-Star game.
Right.
Okay.
But that's where I'm like, how did you not get something done? And if Steph said no to all of this, then all right.
Maybe behind the scenes.
But it's like you got San Francisco, you got the Chase Center. It's like,
what is there to gain? I get my 1 point on Steph. I give him credit for doing it last year.
Yeah.
Because I think it's good for the overall game, the men's and women's game. He did it. And to his credit, he shot the ball like he's capable of shooting. Or he beat her. If he loses that event, Jim, for the betterment of basketball,
I don't think he cares.
I don't think he does either, to his credit, because he did it. I don't think he cares either. But I don't know what there is to gain maybe for Steph either after already doing it.
Just to be there and competing. Like,
will he be in the stands or be on the floor for the event?
He'll be there. Yeah. But as a fan, you go and you're like, I want to see Steph
I get that.
shoot threes.
I think it's fair.
Like I think that would have been pretty cool, but that's where I'm saying that they fumbled the bag here is they don't have Steph involved in Saturday night. Saturday night to me is like unwatchable now. What do I have to look forward to on NBA All-Star Saturday night? Dunk contest is a bunch of nobodies.
I know, and the 3-point thing.
3-point shootout, forever, whatever. And they're not having any special like event like they did last year with Steph and Sabrina. So I don't know, just whatever.
Isn't it half on Steph though? Because he doesn't want to do the 3-point shooting contest.
Oh, the actual
3-point contest. Yeah, if he wanted to be involved just to be involved because it's in San Francisco, then he could have just done the 3-point contest.
Yeah, I mean he's also done it like 6 times.
So
doing something different.
Dame Lillard's going for like his 3rd win, so it's not like it's all new guys that are in there.
So I'm just reading this article beside it. Talks went on for weeks to try to make it happen, even stretching into the All-Star week itself. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We weren't, like you said, we weren't able to land on a plan we thought would raise the bar off of last year. Well, that's kind of on you, NBA.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. Maybe some of it's on Steph or Enescu, but that's on you, NBA. I mean, this is a big event for the NBA. It is. The All-Star events of the week is a big event for the league. If you couldn't come up with something that would raise the bar, that's on you. Then figure something out.
It's not Steph's job to sit there.
Like, hey, I have an idea.
Right.
Let's play Pixie Sticks. You're right.
He kind of like gives the initial thought out there, and then the NBA's job is to create something for that. And to not have something created for Steph or Sabrina or whoever to be like, yeah, that sounds good. That you're right. It's on the NBA.
Yeah.
Like Steph's sitting there like, hey, you guys, what have you come up with? And the NBA is like, well, we can't think of anything that'd be better than last year. Of course, Steph's going to be like, okay, then what are we doing?
Yeah. And I'm just looking like, to your point, he's won so much. He's done the 3-point contest so much. You're basically, if you're Steph Curry, you're just doing it for everyone else also at this point.
And then if you lose the 3-point shooting contest.
That's what I'm saying.
But against the WNBA player, it bridges both sports.
Yeah,
and I think
and the NBA owns the WNBA. I mean, I think it's good for business.
And he even said last year that that was one of the most fun like competitions he's had. He was actually like super nervous for it. And yeah, so I don't know.
If you're worried about him losing, though, wouldn't it be worse if he lost to her opposed to losing to other players in his league? Yeah.
No,
I don't know. No. I mean,
losing to a woman is not, in my opinion, viewed as like worse than losing to
I mean, listen, social media is social media. The guy is the best. It's just funny to look at this. Like his career 3-point field goal percentage in the NBA is 7 points higher than her career 3-point shooting in the WNBA. I mean, there's no question.
But also credit to Sabrina from last year. She shot from the actual men's 3-point line.
Yeah.
And she almost
with a different ball though, right?
Different ball.
Yeah, with a different ball. But yeah, 29-26 was the 3-point score from last year's event between Nesco and Curry.
And again, Steph wouldn't care if he lost.
Yeah, no, I agree because he did it. I think if he cared, he probably wouldn't have done it.
Right.
All right. On the other side, we'll have the wrap for you. If you missed our conversation with Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio, a lot of great insight there on the Padres. We'll play it for you coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. But the wrap is next. Stay with us, Jon and Jim.
All right, this update's brought to you by Staples Stores. We'll start with the Padres making multiple moves. One's official, one's not. Last night, reported by Jeff Passan, they've agreed to terms with Nick Pivetta on a 4-year, $55 million deal. The deal has an opt-out after year number 2. And this morning, they agreed to terms. 1 year, $1 million deal with left-handed pitcher Kyle Hart. Kyle Hart pitched in the KBO last year. NFL news of the day, the Jets officially released Aaron Rodgers. And tonight is the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show at 6 p.m. with Coach Dutch and John right here on San Diego Sports 760. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $250 off your print order. Exclusions do apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends April 5th. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 3 of Jon and Jim. We're here until 6. If you missed our conversation with Mike Ferrin, you'll hear it coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Brian Dutcher Show at 6 p.m. tonight as well. If you've got a question for Dutch, you can text us, 70470. Start it with the word team. We have Aztec basketball tickets to give away as well. I did promise Australian Pink Floyd tickets, guys.
Yeah, you did.
Great. Man. First caller right now is going to see Australian Pink Floyd. All right. First caller right now is going to see Australian Pink Floyd. This is Sunday, August 17th, Cal Coast Credit Union Open Air Theater. Tickets and info, Ticketmaster.com, 877-767-4760. 2 free tickets to see Australian Pink Floyd Sunday, August 17th, Cal Coast Credit Union Open Air Theater. Tickets and info, Ticketmaster.com. Call right now if you want those 2 free tickets, 877-767-4760. All right. What's that noise?
I don't know.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
it's magic.
It is magic noise.
Yeah. Anyway,
we'll get to the wrap in a few minutes, but we're giving away these Australian Pink Floyd tickets right now. I promised them like 20 minutes ago.
I know. It's okay, John.
Is it though?
Yes.
Is it though?
No.
Is it? I don't know. Is it though? I guess it'll be okay. It'll be okay. So we'll get to the wrap coming up in a moment. We have Aztec tickets to give away. We've been talking about yes.
I was gonna say, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for this weekend. For me
really
personally.
Excited for this weekend.
Can you guess
why? All-Star game.
No.
Warriors.
No. They don't play
this weekend. No, but I mean it's in the Warriors like arena.
Yeah.
This weekend, you're really excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. Personally.
It's your birthday.
No, my birthday already happened.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
Hope it was good.
I'm 36 for the next 5 years.
Gosh. No, tell me.
Well, Sunday night at 5 p.m., I will be in attendance for a San Diego Gulls game. And
wow.
And it's not just any San Diego Gulls game. It is Star Wars night for the Gulls.
Are you throwing out like the first lightsaber?
No, they don't do that, John. They like drop the puck.
Are you going to drop the puck?
No, John, I'm not.
You're just going to be there. Have you been to a Gulls game?
Yes, I have.
I've been to. It's a good time.
It's a great time.
So you and Aaron, what is there a giveaway?
I don't know. Aaron's never been to a Gulls game before, so it's gonna be her first time there. Shout out to the Gulls for hooking us up. It's awesome. But remember when Matt was in earlier?
Yes, with the Bill Walton Bravo night?
Yeah, and we were talking off air about Star Wars night, and I was like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
So I'm going. I'm going Sunday night, Star Wars night. How you doing?
Wow, look at you.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what goes into Star Wars night. I know that they're going to be wearing special Star Wars night jerseys, so that's pretty cool.
Right.
I remember I did go to a Star Wars night one time, and they had a bunch of Star Wars characters everywhere.
Right.
But I don't think they're giving away anything.
Okay, so Star Wars night, special jersey. To your point, yeah, Sunday night, Pechanga Arena. Maybe you'll see Jim if you're going.
Yeah, say hi.
Say hi. Yeah, say hi. Star Wars night benefiting Rady Children's Hospital and specialty jersey. You know they're playing, Jim?
I do.
San Jose.
Yeah, the Barracuda.
Barracuda. Yeah.
I looked it up already.
All right. So San Diego Goals.com if you want to go. I will not be there Sunday night.
No.
But I do like it. We've been. In fact, I've got my brother coming to town with is it my nephew? His child?
Yeah.
And we went last year when he was here. We went to a goals game. Yeah. Last year when he was here. It was a good time. Really good. There were like 14 goals in that game.
I looked on online and it expected to be a pretty good
makes
crowd.
Sense with Star Wars night. That makes a lot of sense.
And also too, Monday's a holiday.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, President's Day.
So you know have a lot of people probably. It's not a late game. It's a 5 p.m. start.
Oh, perfect.
So yeah,
don't screw things up. Because if the Barracuda score the first 4 goals,
if the goals lose on Sunday night, then
9-1.
It's all my fault, I guess. Right?
100%. Yeah. Take a photo and then I'll look at the score. All right, so we've got Aztec tickets to give away for Tuesday night coming up. And right now, I think we're ready to rock and roll. We've given away those tickets to see Australian Pink Floyd.
Yes.
All right, right now then, let's get to this.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
No, we gave away tickets to New Zealand Led Zeppelin.
Oh, okay. That sounds good, too.
Where should Aaron Rodgers play next season since he's currently unemployed?
What spring football team has an opening?
Is there an opening in like the Canadian Football League?
Yeah, seriously.
USFL?
Can he go away?
He won't. I'm going to look at the Raiders or... Yeah, that's my one team I got in my mind. Like, I don't know. It just makes sense. Does it make sense?
Does it make sense anymore? Like, is he capable at this point?
Also,
anywhere that's anywhere that he could land, is he really going to lead them to a 12-5 season?
Also, please don't even bother with the rumors of him going to the Niners.
Oh, I did like that. That was popping up. Yeah, I did like that. Get rid of Purdy for Aaron Rodgers and go 4-13 next year.
No.
That would be a disaster.
No.
I really think he's done. I have no idea why I get it. Quarterback play is not great for all 32 teams. I understand that. And the guy's won a lot of MVPs and even won a Super Bowl forever ago, but it's done. It's over. Sometimes you just have a feel. You can't go home with it. You can't get it back. It's done. He's not the same, and he's old.
The only teams I could think of right now that would be looking for a quarterback are the Raiders,
Steelers,
Saints,
Steelers are like the number one team that keeps getting brought up.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Other than that, I got nothing.
What about the Jets?
What about the Giants?
What about the Packers?
What about the Bears?
Yeah, exactly. What about all the teams? What about Philadelphia or Kansas City? Is that a good landing spot potentially? As a backup?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I know Jalen Hurts just won the Super Bowl MVP, but
come on down.
Yeah.
As a 40-whatever-year-old. Next question.
You know, it's all downhill for Eagles quarterbacks after they won the Super Bowl. Look, the last one.
Foles?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could the Padres win the NL West?
I could win $1 million.
That remote?
It's like I said, it's not something that I'm even going to concern myself with. I'm just not. If there happens to be a moment in September where the Padres are a handful of games back, yeah, of course, we're going to entertain it, and it's going to be exciting. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think the Dodgers are going to run away with this thing. I think the Dodgers could easily win over 100 games. Their win total projection is like 105 right now. They could fall off a little bit in like the high 90s, but at worst, they're going to be at a 95, 96, 97 win team. Do I envision the Padres getting to that number? I don't. So, no.
Yeah, I mean, could is always, sure, could. Yes, it's possible. Mathematically, it's definitely possible. We'll talk to Dan Zimborski again before the season from Fangraphs. He'll tell us the Padres have, I'm guessing, a 3 to 5% chance of winning the division, something like that, 2 to 4% chance. But realistically, it doesn't seem very likely. I mean, they've tried everything over the years to get close, and they were quasi-close, bless you, in 2020 in a fake year.
Not you.
They were quasi-close last year when the Dodgers didn't have their best regular season. I don't see it. I'd be pleasantly surprised. I'd love to see it. I just personally don't see it. I think the path for the Padres is realistic, and it's through a wild card spot, just not winning the division. Next question.
Who's going to win the slam dunk contest?
Bro, I don't even know who's in the slam dunk contest.
Dude,
Mac McClung, is that his
Yeah,
name?
he's in it again. Yeah.
Defender, champion. Andre Jackson Jr. played for UConn. You know what team he's with.
Okay.
I don't know if he's even with them anymore.
Stefan Castle, who was with UConn last year.
Is he with the Spurs?
Yeah.
Yes.
And, of course, I don't know how to say the Bulls Euro dude, Modest Buzelis.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
So those are the four.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm going to take McClung. He's won the last two.
Sure, I'll take McClung, too. Whatever.
But just to put this thing in perspective for a second, this is why, honestly, just get rid of this thing.
Give me the dunk contest back in.
Here are the winners. Here are the previous winners of the dunk contest. Dominique Wilkins, Spud Webb, Michael Jordan, D. Brown, Kobe Bryant, Vince Carter. Give me a break. You're not in the same stratosphere. Look at these names that have won it over the last 5 years. Amadou Diallo, Derrick Jones Jr.
What?
Right?
Who?
Exactly. Mac McClung.
Because big name guys don't do it anymore. Like the last big name, what it maybe Blake Griffin or Dwight Howard?
Yeah, Dwight Howard won one. Blake Griffin won one. Yep. John Wall, 2014. Thing's done. It's tired.
It really is. When did it die?
It's a great question. It's a really good question. Post Vince Carter, 2000?
No, because the Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon dunk contest was amazing.
2015.
I think it died when they changed the rule from when you had 3 dunk attempts, where if you bricked 3 of them, you're screwed and you got a 0, to, okay, you got 2 minutes to try and get your dunk in. It doesn't matter if you brick 12 dunks, and then everyone's just, guys couldn't get their dunks in, so they just sat there and they're just miss and miss and miss. For me, that's what it was when they changed the rule.
Donovan Mitchell won this thing.
Well, you need to have borderline stars in there. You can't have no names. You have no names.
No names got the greatest dunk in the history of America. I don't think anyone really cares about that.
Doesn't matter to me. And also, too, we've kind of seen every dunk, right?
Right. Is anything going to change?
Yeah.
But if you had superstar players or all-star players being in the dunk contest, I would watch. But you don't. You have no names, and it doesn't appeal to me.
It won't happen, but it would be nice that maybe on his retirement tour on the way out, maybe LeBron would do one just because he's going to retire. But I don't think he will.
Bronny. Next question.
Bronny, there you go. Do you feel better about the Padres' chances of reaching the postseason after the Nick Pivetta signing?
I do. I think this gives them the depth they need in that rotation. It's not like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest signing ever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an important signing that they needed. They needed more depth in that rotation, and they got it. And Nick Pivetta gives that to you. And if he's asked to be your 4th starter, it's great, which is what he's asked to be here. But if he's asked to be anything more than that, you might have some problems. So with King, Cease, and Darvish, the top of your rotation, and then Pivetta, and then a combination of Waldron, Vasquez, Brito, and Kolick, that's plenty. You can do some stuff.
Yeah, I just think that if the difference in making the postseason or missing it is a game or two, Nick Pivetta could provide that game or two difference. He's been good enough, and if he's able to stay healthy, which he's been able to do in his career, you're on the margins here. You got to win another game or two potentially if you're San Diego to get to the postseason. All right, later this hour, your chance to win Aztec tickets for Tuesday against Fresno State. So we have that. Also coming up at 5 p.m. If you missed our conversation with Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio, you'll hear that on the Nick Pivetta signing and more. But coming up next, again, Padres spring training is underway. We've got the very latest, including you'll hear from Mike Schilt coming up next. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, AM radio keeps vital voices accessible. Congress can secure its future. We need your help, though. Text AM to 52886 now to support keeping AM radio in cars. Tell your member of Congress to pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars. Standard message and data rates apply. I just wanted to let you know that.
Did Mike Schilt this morning live up to your expectations of what you hope to hear from Mike Schilt this morning after the Nick Pivetta signing?
I mean, a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you can't allow Schilt to become a caricature of himself. He's already a character.
A little too late for that.
But of himself, like, he can only go so far, is my point. You already know he's going to be gushing over his team in February.
And they weren't able to actually speak on Nick Pivetta today because it's not official yet.
Right. That's fine.
Physicals, and they have to wait and all that stuff. Yep. Me and you can talk about it, right? But they can't. Like, Preller didn't say anything.
We're allowed to?
Yes, Sean.
We can?
I think
Can
so.
Can we say Super Bowl on the air?
Hold on, let me see.
Or just the big game?
Big game.
Can't say Super Bowl in the air.
You just got us fined. And
dump it. Okay, so this is what Schilt said today about, Pivetta, about Kyle Hart. And if you're wondering to yourself, who the hell is Kyle Hart? So are we. He was signed out of the Korean baseball organization, had a very nice year. He's made 4 career appearances in the major leagues. This was Mike Schilt earlier.
Yeah, I mean, listen, AJ does what AJ does. He, supplements the club in areas we need it, and always looking and finding solution, which is what winners do. And, listen, the guy that's official is Kyle Hart, so we're excited about adding Kyle to the mix. Clearly had a great year in Korea last year, a lefty that gives us potentially another look in that rotation, which is good. And in talking to him, he's already acclimating well with the group, so that's a real positive. I've been encouraged not to speak too much about, Nick, and it's not official, so it's hard for me to comment on that. But clearly, I've got a smile on my face and excited about, the officialness of that taking place and getting started with a guy that's really going to help bolster our rotation to take us those next steps where we want to go.
I love it. You know nothing about Kyle Hart, me and you,
right?
And it's like he's got it ready to go. Like, it's a great pitcher, can help us do this and that.
It's like you all have seen what he did last year in the KBO. Like, well, not really.
I want to find the worst player. Who's the worst player on the team?
Well, I don't even us I don't want to go through someone.
I know. Okay, let me rephrase that. Who had the worst year last year for the on the team?
I mean, was it Hayward?
No. Like that was on the team last year. That's on the team
last year.
Who had a down year last year? Who had a bad year?
Someone in the middle of their bullpen, maybe.
Wandy Peralta.
Sure.
He remember that time he just was like so defensive
he defended
of Wandy
him to like the nth degree.
Yeah, you
in Colorado.
I tell you this: if you are any baseball player, you want Mike Schilt as your manager,
right?
Because he will defend you even if you are 0 for your last 30,
right?
And I do think that helps, and it does make a little bit of difference with players and their confidence level, because baseball, a lot of it is, confidence, because you're going to fail more than you succeed. And you got to make sure that you're not too down on yourself, or you're going to completely lose it.
Yeah, no, he's in the corner always publicly. I don't know what it's like privately. I would imagine it's somewhat similar. He's in his team's corner, and I think it served him well a year ago.
Johnny in the chat says, what would Schilt say about Jim if given the opportunity?
Who even knows? He'd probably say something nice. Winners find solutions. Something along those lines.
I need to know it.
Or he's an idiot and he doesn't know baseball.
Yeah, I need to know what positive spin Schilt would.
Here's the one thing. Schilt treats it like an us versus them. So with the media, it's not always the same. Like with the media, he will bite back.
Oh, yeah.
Not crazy amounts, but it'll happen. I promise you in 2025, there'll be 3 days we come on the air and say, wow, can you believe the way he responded to Kevin's question?
Yes.
I know that. I mean, it'll probably even happen like in spring training. So that'll happen. I mean, it's a long year. Mm-hmm. Emotions will, rise.
I think over time, it will eventually just become an eye roll situation. Like, here's Schilt again being Schilt. But if they win, who cares, right? If they win, who cares how cringe Schilt is? Who cares if he's a couple times a year he goes at Kevin or Dennis for a question?
Right. Well, I mean, I agree with you, but who cares is the person sitting to my right.
I know.
I mean, I agree. In the grand scheme, you're right.
Yeah.
It's not going to matter. Just like last year, it didn't matter. We spent a good amount of the first half of the season being like, what planet is he on? Because he's not aligning with what we're seeing.
Yeah.
But then the thing pointed in the right direction. Like you said, winning cures.
Yep. And he's a good manager. Absolutely. Everywhere he's gone,
he's had success.
Just 2 places. He has had really good success.
But he's now managed, I don't know, 5 seasons or so in the major leagues. Like, that's not the smallest sample size. And he's won to some extent in the postseason, although he hasn't been great in the postseason, actually, with St. Louis. But no, he's a good manager. I think that's a completely fair statement. I think he plays a large role with a team like this. There's just questions, and you got to point this thing in the right direction. And you got Manny Machado on your team, and you got to make sure Manny Machado is capable of having a really good year. But no, Schilte's fired up for Kyle Hart. How can you not be?
Iron Swan says, this is what Schilt would say about me. Jim's the best radio host I've ever heard.
No, he wouldn't say that.
I know.
Yeah. Maybe he would.
Melvin in the chat on YouTube, he makes a good point. I admire Schilte's positivity. Can be frustrating when they're losing. Yeah, sure. But you can't deny the guy's a leader of men.
Leader of men. I do like that term.
He is.
I mean, he's by definition a leader of men. It's like his job.
Do you see what the Padres posted on X just recently?
Like something about Schilt, right?
It's
like him hugging Toddy.
Yeah, it's a picture of him and Tatis having a hug. They're hugging it out. They like Schilt,
they
man.
like him. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think they didn't like Melvin. Very respected manager. The Tingler thing didn't go well. I mean, you've heard from players afterwards. I mean, clearly that was a abject failure. I don't think Melvin was the reason why it didn't work out a couple of years ago. But with all that being said, I think Schilt deserves credit for the way 2024 turned out. He deserved an extension.
Absolutely.
Right? His staff deserved an extension. Doesn't mean that 2025 is going to be perfect, but yeah, he proved it in 2024.
Yeah, he proved it. The team responded, and hopefully they can do that again. This will be harder than, well, do you think it's
harder
than
24?
Do you think it's going to be harder than 24?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I trust Schilt as a manager. Rarely at all last year did we criticize Schilt in season for his in-game managing. Rare. I can't remember, maybe once or twice. It was all the extracurricular. Oh, I can't even speak.
No, you can't.
It was all
Say
the
that again.
Extracurricular.
What was it? Extracurricular?
Yeah, extracurricular. There you go. Extra.
How did you end up in this job? Have you ever asked yourself that?
I don't ask questions, John. I just do things.
When you were little, like seriously,
extracurricular.
When you were little, did you want to do this? Not that little, but I mean, like a teenager.
Yeah, I did. Whenever right around 20 years old, I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do.
So you spoke it into existence, but you didn't speak it by saying the sentence. Without...
In my mind, I said it.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, sometimes you have problems saying words sometimes. Maybe that's another. Maybe not to the extent of me.
It's true. It's true.
But
I don't know.
Anyway, I don't even know what
I don't know. Okay, here's what I do want to say on the other side. Kyle Hart has thoughts on the division. The newest Padres pitcher has his 2 cents on the NL West. If you missed that earlier, we'll share it with you on the other side. Plus, Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio on the signing of Nick Pivetta and more coming up at 5 p.m. We have Aztec basketball tickets to give away this hour. It's Jon and Jim.
Extracurricular.
That was good.
Thank you. This update is brought to you by Staples Stores. We've been talking about it all day. Padres have made a couple moves. One is not official as of yet, but they've agreed to terms with Nick Pivetta on a 4-year, $55 million deal. It's an opt-out after year 2. And Kyle Hart, that is official. Left-hander pitching the KBO last season. NFL news of the day, Jets officially released Aaron Rodgers. And tonight is the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show at 6 p.m. with Coach Dutch and John right here on San Diego Sports 760. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $250 off your print order. Exclusions do apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends April 5th. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
All right, Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio, 5 p.m. His thoughts on Nick Pivetta, Padres offseason, what comes next for AJ Preller. Your chance to win Aztec basketball tickets for Tuesday night against Fresno State is coming up later this hour as well. I just saw SDFC tweeted out 10 days out from their opener.
That's wild.
10 days. They're unveiling, we talked about this yesterday, I think, briefly. They're unveiling their road jersey kit tomorrow morning at like 8 a.m., 7:45 or 8 in the morning. They've already debuted the home. We have them. They were nice enough to bring them into the studio. They give them to us. They'll debut their road jersey. They open on the road in 10 days in Los Angeles against the LA Galaxy, who just won the MLS Cup.
That was fast.
That was they have no offseason. You're right. Because we were at the event, the SDFC announcement event at Snapdragon. That was like 18 months ago, dude. That was May or June of 2023.
I remember just a couple months ago when I was getting my hair cut, and in the barbershop, they had the Galaxy game on, the championship game.
Got you. So the MLS Cup,
MLS
that
Cup.
Wasn't long ago.
I know.
The season's
like,
so long.
Like, just happened.
That's actually a really good point. When was the MLS Cup? Maybe December? Honestly, it may have been in December, dude.
Maybe.
It may have been. I'm going to find out because it's that long. December 7th.
Oh, geez.
So that was only 2 months ago.
Literally not that long ago at all.
So that's how long the year is because it starts in 10 days. You think, listen, baseball's got a long year and they play every day. That's not this. They're not playing every day, but it's an extended. I mean, from 10 days from now through October.
It's once or twice a week.
Yeah, well, like once ish a week for 7-8 months on end.
Mostly on Saturdays, couple Wednesdays in there.
Mostly at night. We've talked about that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So it's like, oh no, what are they going to do without the overhangs? Like,
they're not even going to play a day game. There's no day game. I don't think it's Snapdragon Stadium on the schedule. Is there? I don't think there is.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So anyway, that's coming up in 10 days, which I think is pretty cool for fans of San Diego FC. And again, we've been waiting for this for a long time. So we touched on this earlier. I was like aghast, shocked,
aghast,
dumbfounded. So they signed this pitcher today. It's great. Depth piece, Jim. Like maybe he's got a chance, like the first opportunity to go hold down the 5th spot in the rotation, right? Kyle Hart from the KBO. Hart. Nice numbers last year. Great. Now, Korea's not the major leagues. Korea's not Japan in baseball, but nice numbers, sub-3 ERA. And I'm not going to vilify him for 4 appearances in the major leagues like 5 years ago, and he was awful. But I just found this really fascinating that Dennis Lin put out a piece just within the last hour or two. And in The Athletic, this is a quote from Kyle Hart. I think it's time to go win the NL West outright. I mean, it's been almost 20 years now since we've won this division. Excuse me? Like you were, I don't even know who you pitched for last year in the KBO, Kyle Hart. And now he's like, I remember when Juan Soto did that just randomly in like April of 2023. Like, we got to go win this division. I'm like, slow down. And that was Juan Soto. So now Kyle Hart, who last year pitched where and has not pitched in the big league since 2020, the COVID season. His only year in the big leagues, Jim, was 4 appearances during COVID. This is only big league time. So listen, I hope it works out. I really do. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves if we're Kyle Hart talking about the division. Like, I don't even know if the position players know who Kyle Hart is. Seriously, how many of the position players reporting next week know who Kyle Hart is?
Probably not a lot.
None of them, right? I don't think many of them. Where did he pitch last year in the KBO? And his numbers were really good. I saw his number. They were sub-3 ERA. But again, it's like, I don't even know if this guy's going to be on the roster or make the team. He pitched for the NC Dinos last year.
Depth. What do you do last year? Give me the numbers.
You want to hear these numbers, dude?
Give me the numbers.
You want to hear these numbers? Yeah. 13-3.
Okay.
269.
Okay.
26 games, all starts. 157 innings.
Okay.
Which is an average of over 6 innings an outing. 124 hits. So 124 hits to 157 innings. 182 strikeouts, 38 walks. Amazing ratio. A whip of 1.032. But here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's KBO.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
this is a signing that will speak to how good their scouting department, like, really.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like, this is a scouting department signing. Someone in the scouting department that was over watching him in the KBO was like, yeah, this is a guy to watch.
Right.
And so this will speak to, you know, just how good their scouting department is when it comes to signings like this. And hopefully it works out. I have no idea if it is. I don't know.
And it's okay if it doesn't. It's a $1 million deal. I'm all for adding to the depth.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. And so maybe he gets the first crack at it. Maybe it's like you said before, Matt Waldron, Randy Vasquez, whomever else.
I'm more excited about closer to sure things than unknowns.
Right.
And Nick Pivetta is closer to a sure thing than an unknown.
Yeah.
Not saying that he's going to absolutely have a good season this upcoming year, because things could happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just look at the last 4 years in the bigs, that is a better indication of what you're going to be getting than whatever you saw from Kyle Hart in the KBO.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I was, when I heard last night about Nick Pivetta, my mind went to, well, what does it mean for Dylan Cease specifically? And then when I heard some assurances from media, Dennis Lynn specifically, and then straight from AJ Preller himself, where he didn't say it's impossible, and you never say never. Things can happen. I understand that. But it doesn't sound to me like they are trading away Dylan Cease anytime soon, like before the season. So you pair Pivetta with Cease, and I'm even more optimistic than when I heard the news that Nick Pivetta was signed.
I at this point in time, I would be surprised by it. You know,
Cease.
The reporting this offseason for everything has made things kind of difficult for like people like us to really talk about this team. And if all of a sudden they traded Dylan Cease in the next 2 weeks for a haul from the Orioles, Mike Ferrin talked about it. Like, if you get a bunch of pieces back, that's great. Like, okay, cool. I don't care. Like, I want to win now. I want this team to win now. And they want to win now. And what's their best chance to win now? It's with Dylan Cease on the roster.
Right.
So,
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, could you get some good pieces back for Dylan Cease? Yeah, absolutely. But it just, I don't know. It would be counterintuitive to add Nick Pivetta to the rotation and then trade away Dylan Cease, one of your best pitchers.
Yeah, it's counterintuitive. And by the way, to the thing on Kyle Hart, I mean, we're not going to spend days on it. We've only mentioned his name today, and we've only talked about it for 5 minutes because he said we're going to win the division. But the one thing I would say, it's the KBO. He was their Cy Young in Korea last year. He won that award.
What's the award called?
Not Cy Young, because Cy Young never pitched in Korea. I have no idea.
Hold on.
Do you know? It may be Choi Dong-won.
So he won the Dong Award?
Did you hear this or something? Is that why? How did you know that? How did you know? Because you wanted me to say.
I know.
How did you know that? You heard that today?
I did.
Did you?
I saw it on social media.
I think he won the Choi Dong-won Award.
Cool. We got a guy that won the Dong Award last year.
It was the Choi Dong-won Award. How did you? I can't believe you knew that.
I was trying.
I was
trying to get you.
I can't believe you even
that.
knew that.
Oh,
I didn't know he had won that award.
I did. I tried to bait
that
you. Good job on you. Now, do we have Kyle Hart sound? We do have Kyle Hart sound.
Come on.
Yeah, someone tagged me in it. So we have Kyle Hart sound.
Is Kyle Hart with us live on the air right now?
No, I wish.
I want to hear from Kyle Hart.
Here's Kyle Hart, your boy, today.
Oh my gosh.
In Peoria.
Can you tell us why this opportunity made the most sense for you and why you chose the Padres?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty clear as soon as I talked to AJ, Josh, Ruben. I think it was pretty clear where this team is at, and I felt like they wanted me, and that was something that I kind of set out at the beginning of free agency was let's kind of combine opportunity with a chance to win, a great clubhouse, a great culture, and I was putting those things first in my journey, and as soon as I started talking to those guys, it was clear that this was going to be the best fit for me.
What did last year do for you, and did it kind of work out to plan?
Yeah, that's one of the questions that they had for me was, what changed and what worked for you. And I think it was really just the kind of the blank canvas that I was given by the Dinos, just to kind of do my thing, be myself, and that's something I kind of latched onto. I felt like my last couple of years in the minor leagues, I didn't know kind of who I was, what my role was. And over there, it was like, hey, you got 100 pitches. We need as many outs as you can get. And it was very simple. So I think I simplified things and just kind of found myself. Obviously, there was some pitch design stuff that I changed, some mechanic stuff that I changed. But most of all, it was just having a clean opportunity.
And I'm assuming you went over there with the idea of 1 year and then try to see what you could do.
You know, that wasn't really on my mind going over there. I just wanted to pitch the best that I could, and whatever opportunities arose beyond that were, I was going to be happy with. And I think to kind of answer your question more clearly, like when I got into July and August, I realized, what the potential might be. And I think it was in the back of my mind, and you kind of keep shoving it down, like, hey, let's worry about that when it's time. So, I did a good job of being in the present, especially with my teammates and my staff over there, just trying to pitch the best that I could for the Dinos, and that got me here.
That's Kyle Hart sounding great. I want to hear him say we're going to win this division. We haven't done it in 20 years.
I don't know where he said that. I couldn't.
He sounds like he's got a good head on his shoulders. And I mean, going to Korea to bet on yourself, because he had pitched in the minors basically his whole career. You go to Korea, bet on yourself, and it pays off. Good for him.
These deals are always so interesting because, spring training, they make a move like this and we spend a significant amount of time on it. But in the regular season, it goes right back to the main guys on the team. You might see Kyle Hart out there for 60 innings tops.
Right. And if he's a bright spot, he's a bright spot.
Yeah.
If we look up and say, wow, what a good year he had in those 60 innings.
Yeah, you could.
A 3 ERA. That's awesome.
Or he could be a guy that only goes to give you like 20 innings.
Yeah, exactly. Or he's not effective. Yeah, 100%. All right, call right now if you want 2 free tickets to see the Aztecs play on Tuesday night against Fresno State right here in San Diego at Viejas Arena. We have 2 free tickets. You need to call 877-767-4760. The way it works is the first 2 callers will be contestants for trivia. All right, so one lucky caller is going to win 2 free tickets after trivia. 877-767-4760. We call Trainwreck Radio. And the winner today has 2 free tickets to the Aztecs against Fresno State Tuesday at Viejas Arena. Call right now, 877-767-4760. Plus Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio at 5 p.m. It's Jon and Jim. All right, Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio on this Nick Pivetta signing with spring training underway. You'll hear that coming up at 5 p.m. Brian Dutcher show at 6. If you've got a question for Dutch, 70470, start it with team. Hey, Dutch, why don't you just go on 17-0 runs the whole game, every game? It's easy. Let's do that. Right? I've done it 4 times this year.
Is that what you talk about going into games? Like, all right, guys, we're going to just go on 17-0 runs.
Forget about the first half. It doesn't matter. Just score 20 straight.
Yeah, the only thing we care about is going on 17-0 runs.
Right. That's our goal.
Right.
Do whatever you want the other 35 minutes, but we will go on a 17-0 run at some point.
Right.
So figure that out with your teammates.
Easy.
Let's do that together.
Easy.
Big one Saturday, folks. Big. B-I-G. Game against Boise State. Big game on Saturday.
BIG game.
It is a big game. It really, really is. All right, Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio coming up at 5 p.m. But right now, let's play.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Juan and we have John. Juan, you called in first, so you have your choice of John or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
John?
Juan, John, and Jim. Who are you taking, Juan?
I'm gonna go with John.
I like that.
Right.
I like that.
Juan and John, and then
John and Jim. This is incredible.
Got a good ring to it.
This is great. Brent, what's the question?
All right, guys, we brought up earlier the NBA All-Star Weekend is this weekend. Did you guys know that there are 7 players with at least 15 All-Star Game appearances? Today's question, name any of those 7 players that have appeared in at least 15 or more All-Star games.
Ooh, all right. John, you're up first. What's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I will go with LeBron.
LeBron on the list. Good job,
LeBron
there.
James.
Yeah, he's made the All-Star game every single year minus his rookie season, I think.
That's like Bronny. He's made it every year but his rookie year.
Right, yeah. Juan, you're up next. What is your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Kobe.
Kobe
Bryant.
Bean. John, back to you. What is your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan?
No, because he
Yeah.
skipped the 2 years and didn't play long enough.
Yeah. Juan, you're up next. What is your second guess? Do you have a lifeline if you want to use it?
Kevin Durant.
Kevin
KD.
Durant. On the list. Wow.
Well done.
John, back to you. You're going to need this to stay in the game. What is your final guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Lifeline. Come on, Jim.
Okay. I was going to go with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Do you take that?
Nice.
You take it?
Take it.
There we go.
Look at you.
Stays in the game. Juan, you could win right here with a walk-off. What is your final guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I'm going to take the big fundamental, Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan.
Fundamentals
Wow,
on the
there we go.
list.
That's my other lifeline.
That's
Tim.
ball game because we had that miss early on Jordan.
Yeah.
Wow. Who else was
Brutal
on the list
loss.
then? Because there's 1 or 2.
Do you want to guess? No.
I want to say Akeem Olajuwon. Or
No.
Kevin Garnett.
Kevin Garnett is on the list.
Look at me.
I want to say like John Stockton or something.
No, we're only missing 1. It's a big name.
Well, that
Big
makes
name.
sense if you're
Big
15
name.
time.
Pun intended.
Oh, Shaq?
Yeah.
Oh, Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, good guess.
Jordan only had 14.
Oh, he
loser.
sucked. Told you he's not the greatest of all time.
No, not even close.
Now that I know that, that's not
Yeah.
even anywhere near
14
the best.
All-Stars? Nah,
What? That's
sucks.
awful. All right. Well, congratulations. You're going to see the Aztecs on Tuesday night against Fresno State at Viejas Arena. This upcoming Tuesday night, tickets at goaztecs.com. We still have a minute or 2 here. Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio on the other side. Nick Pivetta on the Padres offseason. Well, might come next. So Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio coming up at 5 p.m. We have giveaways for you coming up at the 5 o'clock hour as well. We've got tickets to see the Warren Haynes Band. We have Jim's Back Page. And again, the Brian Dutcher Show is coming up at 6 p.m. as well. Anything you want to get off your chest, Jim?
Well,
No?
not really.
Are you ready for the
get off my chest?
Are you ready for the workout phase to be over and for the transition to spring training games to begin?
We'll get to next weekend, which will be their
next
first
weekend.
game.
Yeah, 21st.
And that'll be great.
That'd be great. Yeah.
And then by game 3, it needs to end.
I know. You're right.
You're like, no, maybe not by game 3. Maybe by like week 3.
You don't like the social media videos? Like he went yard, and then you're like, who did? He's like, I've never heard of this guy. They went yard.
I'm not gonna disparage anybody's work,
but how are you gonna disparage?
Nobody needs Wandy Peralta's walk into a bullpen right now video. I mean, look,
Wandy might need it.
Maybe Wandy's family needs it.
Yep.
But man, it's just like beats you over the head. You're like, what? And look, I get it. Padres fans, like they eat it up. I understand that. Maybe it's just me. At a point, I'm like, okay, guys.
Right.
Okay. You know, like, let's calm down a little bit. But hey, credit to them, I guess.
Do you think John Seidler is ready to go? Spring training's here. He's on site. Because didn't AJ say today he's actually been dealing with Katsenda, not John Seidler?
He did mention that.
Which makes sense because I don't think John Seidler's officially the chairman.
Right. He's not until, and not Kevin, but AJ mentioned it's going to take at least 30 days.
Okay.
Around 30 days. So it's been business as usual. It's Eric Katsenda right now. It has been Eric Katsenda. And it soon will be John, but it's not John as of yet.
Right, but it's coming at some point sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear from Mike Ferrin on the other side. Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio, his thoughts on the Nick Pivetta signing, the Padres offseason, and what comes next. Great MLB voice joins us next to kick off hour 4 of Jon and Jim.
This update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres, they've made moves. Last night, it was reported by Jeff Passan. They signed Nick Pivetta to a 4-year, $55 million deal. It's really a 2-year deal worth $23 million with an opt-out after year 2. They also agreed to terms with left-handed pitcher Kyle Hart. That deal is official. NFL news of the day. Jets, they officially released Aaron Rodgers. And tonight at 6 p.m., an hour from now, is the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show with John Coach Dutch right here on San Diego Sports 760. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $250 off your print order. Exclusions do apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends April 5th. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is the final hour. It's hard to believe. Final hour of Jon and Jim.
You want to do an extra hour after 6?
Well, yeah, I'm going to, Jim. Thanks for asking. The Brian Dutcher Show is coming up at 6 p.m.
You want to go till 8 instead? So we can do like an extra hour after your extra hour?
I don't necessarily.
Do you want me to join you from 6 to 7?
Yes, I do. Stick around. There was a year.
Remember last year when you were in the intro and you didn't appear on any single coach's show?
Like 2021 or 2022, Jim did every single one with me.
I was?
Yes, there was a year you used to do the shows.
You were in the intro all last year.
And then you just bailed.
Wow.
Like, hey, I'm married and I make dinner now and I go to the Goals Star Wars night.
Hey, nobody told me I had to do it.
No, had is not. This is the issue. This is where Mike Schilt needs to point the team in the right direction. That's what Kyle Hart's going to say. Nobody told me I had to pitch the 5th inning. No, you don't have to, Kyle. We'd like you to.
Hey, I'm a 5 and dive guy, okay?
No, you're not. You're like a 3rd and dive.
I'm like, I got 6 outs, guys. We're done here, all right?
True.
We're done.
Dutch coming up at 6. I do always look back at Mike Francesa, right, formerly Mike and the Mad Dog. He had a solo show post Mike and the Mad Dog. I kid you not. We could Google it. It was from 1:30, which is the oddest start time. It was either 1 or 1:30 to 7. The only time it would have interference is when Devils hockey would start at 6:50.
That's amazing.
So 1 to 7 is 6 hours. 1:30 to 7 is 5.5. And he did a solo, and that was all caller focused. But I mean, if Francesa is like 60s, 7, it could do 6 hours. Me and you can do. So we could do 8 hours.
Didn't he have like A-Rod on after he got suspended for like 2 hours one time?
I don't know about that.
Or it was he had him on his show.
Why for 2 hours? Just you're saying like he didn't take a commercial break?
Yeah, he just had him on for like an hour and a half or something.
Nobody would ever do longer. He would have like the Yankees manager, whoever it was, 15 years ago, and he would do it like a Torrey or Boone or whatever. He would do like 40 minutes uninterrupted.
Yep.
Like we can't do like we
10.
can't do that. They like yell at us if that happened. Anyway, Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio. Earlier today, we started the conversation asking for his thoughts on the Nick Pivetta signing.
Well, I think it was, really out of nowhere. It had been so quiet on Pivetta that I'm not sure that any of us really knew when he was going to sign or what the offers were. He turned down the qualifying offer from Boston, which would have guaranteed him just over $21 million this year. So that was it was kind of, we were wondering how long this would drag out. I think from the Padres standpoint, you're right. It's not like over a 4-year span, not a whole lot of cash outlay, and it's certainly not in the short term. And I think between that and maybe the Michael King deal, we have a little bit more certainty on what exactly the Padres were trying to accomplish this winter, at least in terms of payroll. It wasn't so much that they were concerned about where things were long term. they just didn't feel like they had, at least ownership had not approved them to run a payroll for the season that was much higher than what it was. And so, being able to get Michael King to sign for, as low a number as he did this year, with the way that you can spread out bonuses, and for Pivetta to do basically the same thing, even though he's going to be up to $19 million next year, and this deal is heavily backloaded. Really creative way to go about it, and a great way to be able to allow them to fit in under what their budget constraints were. Keep King, add a starting pitcher, which they desperately needed, and it probably directly led them to adding their left field platoon. So, listen, Pivetta's not a star. I mean, he'll miss some bats. He's going to give up some dingers. He's kind of a perfectly cromulent fourth, fifth starter, and one that will get on a good run for a 10 to 12 start stretch where it will be better than that because he'll strike a bunch of guys out. But this is this definitely makes their club better than it was yesterday.
And with all the reports in the offseason surrounding, Dylan Cease earlier today and yesterday, it's been reported that they're maybe likely to keep Dylan Cease instead. And I said, Mike, tell me if you agree. I like the Nick Pivetta signing a lot, but if they trade Dylan Cease, then I don't really like it. If they keep Dylan Cease, then I like it even more.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what they get back, right? Like if they were to trade Cease, it's if they were to get a deal that was similar to what Milwaukee had gotten last year for Corbin Burns, I think that would be pretty good, right? You get an everyday player who you control for 6 years in Joey Ortiz. You get a pitcher that you can dream on as either a starter or a reliever, albeit one with some history of injuries, and in DL Hall, who's hurt again. And you get a draft pick. Like, that's actually a pretty reasonable return. But I think they're clearly a better team if they hold on to Cease. And I think the freeing up of the money would have been to be able to add other pieces in other spots. It wasn't just to shed payroll. It would have been an effort to try and fill holes as well. So, I mean, listen, I think they're a better team with Cease. I think the way that they're constructed, their top four in the rotation is pretty good. I don't think it's quite as good as the Diamondbacks. I don't think it has the upside that the Dodgers do, but it's certainly good enough to be one of the teams that's squarely in the mix for a postseason berth. And, I think it should be a relief to Padres fans that they're not necessarily talking about moving Dylan Cease, that they can cross that bridge if things aren't going well at the deadline. And then if they are going well, then you're going to be able to slap a qualifying offer on him at the end of the year, and he can test free agency.
That's a really good point. Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio, with us right now. Jon and Jim, you mentioned the left field platoon. They hit lightning in a bottle with Profar last year with the productivity for the dollars. What can this work, or what do you think about it? Hayward and Joe potentially splitting time in left field.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably not going to be as productive as Jerks and Profar. I mean, I don't think there's any way that it would. Hayward's a great makeup guy. I mean, if you get a chance to spend any time with him, he's just a really quality human being, a great dude, great teammate, great worker. He's been one of the best players in the league, and he's been one of the worst players in the league. So, I mean, he kind of understands all of that, and I think that makes him a really good resource for even somebody like Jackson Merrill, who is going to have a different level of pressure going on him coming into year two. Hayward's been there, right? So, and he's consistently been on teams that were in the postseason, and he's been a very he's been a player whose production has varied year to year. But he's kind of found this role as a platoon guy, and I think he'll be okay. Joe is a guy that draws some walks, and he doesn't hit for a ton of power. He's fairly athletic. He can move around, play a couple of different positions. He's a local guy. I mean, he was on those USD teams with Chris Bryant. He's a guy that I think, is a nice role player on a good team. He just hasn't been on any good teams. He's played for Pittsburgh and Colorado for the most part. And, but I like Connor Joe as that, like the 20, I guess for taking position players, like the 12th or the 13th position player on your team, where he's playing a weak side platoon role. And potentially filling in a couple other spots against some righties here and there. He's going to be fine. He'll hit for a decent average. He'll get on base. He won't hit for much power, but it's not going to be nearly as productive as what they got out of Profar. It would be a miracle if that happened.
AJ said that, they're still looking at, of course he is. It's AJ Preller. He's always looking to, tweak his roster any way possible. But, Mike, when you look at this team, what do you think they still need to be added?
Yeah, I think they could use a bat. I still think that they could use somebody who can DH potentially. And, with the rumors that Dennis Lynn had this morning, I don't know if it would be rumors, but at least their willingness to talk about Suarez in a trade, that would free up some money to sign somebody like a Justin Turner, who I think would be a tremendous fit for the Padres for a lot of different reasons. So maybe that's something that still comes down the pipe. There's just not a whole lot of quality offensive players that are left. There's guys with warts like a Brendan Rodgers or, they could go back down the David Peralta route. Certainly that worked out pretty well last year for them, right? He was very good. So those are kind of guys that are out there right now. And the other thing is that they do decide to move Suarez. There's nothing to say that they don't get either a bat or maybe an extra bullpen arm or something like that back in the deal. That, while they save money, they're also still adding players to their major league roster. So I think that's probably more likely what it is, but I don't think it's necessarily as pressing as a need as it was a couple of weeks ago when they really didn't have a left fielder and there was more uncertain at shortstop too. And the other thing I would think about is adding another catcher. I think it just depends on whether or not Luis Campusano's defense has come along enough that they feel confident in him. If it has, then maybe they don't need someone, but that's another position that I think is worth at least looking at if the Padres. And, AJ Pro is not afraid to make a deal, as you said, in the middle of spring training. That's certainly a good way to go about team building. And we saw the Rise deal in May. So I think he's going to be constantly looking for ways to upgrade a roster that they want to see get back to the postseason. They needed to get back to the postseason.
No doubt. Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio. What was your reaction to the Profar deal? Because locally, I think a lot of people felt, it's pretty reasonable. Maybe 3 years is a little long, but 14 a year for a guy that was as productive and has meant so much maybe internally to that franchise, kind of hard to see him walk. But again, the Padres just seemingly don't have the money to do it.
Yeah, they didn't at that point. If they had traded, let's say theoretically they had traded Cease, that would freed up probably some
right
to be able to do that. But I don't know that it would have made sense to put all your eggs in that basket. And who knows, maybe Profar would have taken less to stay because clearly a good relationship with a lot of people with the Padres. I thought the deal was fine. It's not a deal. It's not like a crushing deal if Profar struggles. Atlanta certainly has the payroll flexibility to be able to absorb it if he doesn't. They needed somebody who could play left field. They needed somebody who could provide some offense while Acuna was out. And, I don't know exactly when Acuna is going to come back. They've been kind of slow playing the date on it, even though he was injured far earlier last season than he was when he blew out his knee in the 2021 season. So, I think there is a chance that, Acuna is ready earlier. But Profar gives them better depth in the outfield, and it means that they don't have to rely on Jared Kelenic and Brian De La Cruz. So, yeah, the number was reasonable. I don't think it was out of bounds. I think 3 at 42 made a lot of sense, and I think he's going to be a good fit for the Braves. And here's the other thing is that this is a draw that, as much as he loved the Padres organization, the Padres loved him. There are a lot of players who grew up in Curacao and Antigua and they're not Antigua, but in the ABC Islands that were big Braves fans, in part because Andrew Jones was from Curacao and they grew up watching him and watching the Braves. And Profar kind of talked about that too. So, that was a big reason why Kenley Jansen signed there when he was a free agent a few years ago, was because of that opportunity to play for the Braves. So maybe some of that evened it out too in his mind. I know he talked about the ownership situation being a key, but I think that's something that's you have to think that there is a little bit of heartstrings there for a player from Curacao who's like, man, I got a chance to play for the team that I grew up watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Final one here, Mike, before we let you go. Were you surprised by the Bregman deal?
I guess maybe the number on it, but I thought it was I'll tell you what I was surprised by, and this may seem weird. I was surprised that he didn't take a 6-year deal because that's what we had been hearing all along, was that he wanted the long-term contract. Now, I understand why he didn't. I mean, getting $40 million a year will certainly make you think twice about signing for 6 seasons.
Right.
So, like, I thought it was the Red Sox were super creative, right? They didn't want to be locked in long term. They wanted to give him the option to get out from under whatever they would owe, but they also wanted the player and they wanted him for what's left of his prime years. And so they were far more aggressive in their offer than like the Cubs were, who didn't offer the most years or the most money on an AAV basis. And, you know, like if you're Detroit, you're singing a little bit, right? Because you feel like you were close. You had a 6-year offer on the table. Granted, it was for less than what he was making last year. You know, like I think if that number had been like, let's say 190 instead of 170, 1.5, I think it would have been a much tougher choice for Bregman. But for him, like he can go if let's say he decides to stay all 3 years in Boston and he performs fairly well, there's nothing that says that he can't get that other, you know, 40 or 50, or I guess it would be $50 million on the other side in a 3-year contract. Maybe playing at 31, 32, 33. So he'd be like 34, 35, 36. Like you could see that. And I just think I'm a big Bregman guy. I just think he's such a baseball rat. His baseball intelligence is off the chain. Like he's just a really smart player that I think is going to be able to make adjustments as he gets older. They keep him relevant into his late 30s until the skills fully decline.
Mike, I didn't ask you this off air, but you mentioned something about calling some college baseball tomorrow and putting 2 and 2 together. Are you doing this tournament with San Diego State in Arizona?
So I'm doing the Sunday game actually with San Diego State.
Very cool.
I'm heading out to their practice to go see Coach Cole here in a little bit. So I'll have the San Diego State Nebraska game on MLB.com. But the next 2 days I'll be over in Surprise, Arizona, the Sanderson Ford Classic, which is Oregon State's tournament that they open the season with every year. And it's actually a really good field this year. Oregon State, Indiana, who's a regional caliber team, Xavier, who's a surprisingly good program. They won 30 games 3 years in a row. So, and UNLV, who's kind of rebounding. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait till Sunday.
That's great stuff. That's awesome. Mike, always appreciate it. We'll do it when we get closer to opening day. Have great college baseball calls this weekend, including San Diego State and Nebraska as the Aztec season gets underway this weekend in Arizona. Thanks, Mike, as always.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, I want to react to something he said there on the other side. Plus, we've got some Warren Haynes band tickets to give away. Jim's back page coming up. Brian Dutcher show at 6 p.m. Jon and Jim. All right, Jon and Jim back with you. San Diego Sports 760 has 13 chances to win $1,000 every weekday with the Grand in Your Hand cash contest. That's every hour, 6 a.m. through 6 p.m. Listen for the keyword at the top of every hour, then enter it at sportsst.com. We're giving away Warren Haynes Band tickets between now and our next break. So don't go anywhere. We'll do it in the next 5 minutes. Warren Haynes Band, Humphreys by the Bay on May 14th. You asked Mike Ferrin. You didn't even ask him. Maybe you asked him something about, you like Pivetta more because Cease is staying, or you'd like Pivetta more if Cease stayed. And he kind of, scoffed at that by saying, well, yeah, but dependent on the return. Like he wouldn't inherently say, do not move Dylan Cease without knowing what the return could be for the Padres. I think you and I would both say I wouldn't trade Dylan Cease.
Yeah, I'm looking at through a lens of just win this year.
Mm-hmm.
Not, well, you can get a piece to help you this year and then controllable and, could turn into something like, okay, yeah, it's the job of a GM. The job of a fan or, for us, it's what are they going to do to win this season?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about next year right now.
Yeah, I agree.
I care about is this team going to make the postseason again? And Dylan Cease gives them a better chance to make the postseason this year.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. I mean, I understand his point. He's really good with interpreting the value on both sides. Like he knows systems.
Look at the big picture.
He's really good. And that's more of his job. I think MLB Network Radio, it's not all about the here and now. They talk to GMs every week. Like he talks to AJ Preller on the radio throughout the season, probably monthly. And they spend time with GMs. And you're right. GMs' jobs are different than our jobs. And also is a different way to look at the sport than fans. Like when I go out there April 15th, I want to see them win in April of 2025. I'm less concerned about April of 2026. Do I have an eye towards the future? Yeah, I'm aware of what Ethan Salas could mean, and I'm aware of what Leo DeVries can mean. And I understand there's value in that. There's real value. But I think for now, the way they've played this decade is let's go win today. Like most of their moves, Juan Soto trades and even going to get Michael King, or most of their moves are let's go win now. We're not rebuilding something. We're not with one eye on the future. We have a $200 million payroll with a $250 million CBT. Let's go win today, not tomorrow.
Well, AJ also does look at the future. The Nick Pivetta signing is for the now and the future.
Yeah, he gets 2 years at least.
It's for next year and this year. I don't envision him opting in, Nick Pivetta.
Beyond to the third year of the deal. I agree.
Now, if he's awful, then probably will opt in.
Yep.
But if he's good, it's great for both parties. That means that you get 2 good years of Nick Pivetta. Great. And he'll opt out and get a bigger deal potentially. Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'd want him to opt out because that means he's had good 2 years, in my opinion.
Right.
But yeah, he's looking at everything. We're looking at singular. He's looking at multiple.
Yeah. Different jobs.
And so that's AJ's job. And I don't think he ever is sitting there and be like, man, I only got till 2026. I think maybe at some moments he might think that, but I don't think he's doing moves and making moves and thinking to himself, well, I got 2 years.
No, I don't either. No, you're saying based on either do it in 2 years or I'm out type thinking?
Like just going fully all in for the next 2 years. I mean, he's signed Nick Pivetta to a 4-year deal. There's potential.
Yeah.
In a world that Nick Pivetta is here when AJ Preller is not the GM. I don't think that's the case. I really don't. I think that's not going to happen. AJ's, I think, going to get a contract extension eventually.
Yeah, his job should be pretty secure at this point. I mean, you do wonder, how long of a tenure do GMs typically have? He's the third most tenured GM in the sport. These jobs don't typically last this long. They're not career jobs typically. He could push 15 plus years here. He's not that far away from that.
If AJ puts together a roster that makes the postseason this year, dude, the last 2 years will have been incredible work from him.
Yeah, definitely.
It easily would be the most impressive stretch of his tenure as GM.
Yeah.
2022, okay, and that was great. And he made the big swing for Juan Soto. But you had so much at your disposal to work with in your farm system to go trade for a guy like that. You got nothing in your farm system you're going to give up. You got money restrictions that you got to work around, and you got to put together a roster that is going to make another postseason appearance. If they make the postseason again this year, man, and he doesn't get a contract extension, wouldn't you be a little worried?
I would be very worried. I mean, my only concern there is if he keeps this up, and this is a good concern. It's like players outperforming contracts. It's like, can you keep them? You know what I mean? Like the other side of the coin, if they keep exceeding expectations, and if there's an opportunity to maybe do it with more of a payroll elsewhere, does he get lured away eventually? Again, is this going to be a 20-year AJ Preller run here?
Because
he's more than halfway.
We're approaching what year? This is year 10.
Is this year 10 or 11?
It's year 11.
That's quite a run. Third most tenured GM in baseball. All right, call right now if you want 2 free tickets to see the Warren Haynes Band at Humphreys by the Bay on May 14th. First caller, you're going. These are free tickets. 877-767-4760. We have 2 free tickets to see the Warren Haynes Band at Humphreys by the Bay. Great venue, May 14th. 877-767-4760. Call right now. On the other side, we'll tell you why it is a must-win. Or is it a must-win for the Aztecs on Saturday against Boise State at Viejas Arena? Jon and Jim.
This update's brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres making a couple moves, signing former Boston Red Sox pitcher Nick Pivetta to a 4-year, $55 million deal. He has an opt-out after year 2. They also today signed from the KBO left-hand pitcher Kyle Hart. NFL news of the day, the Jets officially released Aaron Rodgers. And tonight, 30 minutes from now, is the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show with Coach Dutch and John right here on San Diego Sports 760. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $250 off your print order. Exclusions do apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends April 5th. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
Brian Dutcher coming up at 6 p.m. If you've got a question for Dutch, you can get it in. We'll get to it on airs. How do you text us?
On airs?
I'm struggling right now. I'm dealing with like a chest cough.
Well, okay. Drink more Diet Coke then. Or water.
I should have water.
You have Altoids, a Diet Coke, and water over there. What else you got?
That's all I have, but I've been dealing. By the way, I've put it off by and large. You haven't noticed it on air, for the most part.
I haven't, so that's credit to you.
But it's just, thank you. It's a credit to me. Anyway, Brian Dutcher Show at 6. If you have a question for Dutch, you can text us 70470. Start it with the word team. Is this, and we always ask it before every single game facetiously,
is this a must win?
This becomes a real question. Can they get to the NCAA tournament as an at-large team if they don't win on Saturday? Taking on a Boise State team that's 17-7. You could probably say the same thing about Boise. I don't think Boise has the same resume as the Aztecs, but just consider that question right now. Can San Diego State get to the tournament? Now, they can get there if they win the Mountain West tournament. But can they get to the tournament, Jim, if they don't win on Saturday?
Yeah, because then they can win the Mountain West Conference tournament.
No. Other than that.
I don't know.
You don't know?
It wouldn't be as it wouldn't be as bad as if they Okay, behind the scenes right now, I gotta just say this.
Say it.
We're friends, right? We're friends, right?
What are you gonna say?
Bro, when it comes
this
to
looks good.
When it comes to graphic design, all right. John
I don't have an eye for it.
Like the worst eye for graphic design.
How could you say that? I thought we were friends.
Look at that.
This is a template that I was provided through Canva. And I'm just updating it with Jon Jim stuff.
In your next job, you shouldn't apply for any graphic designer positions or.
I'm not going to. I agree. But here's the thing. We don't have any graphic. Now, you're pretty good.
I'm okay. I feel like I have an eye for it. It's a little difficult sometimes to create what I want to create.
Right.
It takes forever.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
But what you have created over here,
you hate this.
So
I'm gonna post it
behind the scenes on the wrap up show on our YouTube channel. We just passed 8,000 subscribers last night.
It's pretty good.
And so you are making something to post
like
on our YouTube channel
for subscribing to the wrap-up show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I have no what is this? It's like
it's not great.
It's not great at all.
It's not great. I agree, but I feel like I'd rather do something not great than not do it at all.
Here during the break, I'm gonna make something that looks a million times better than you've been working on that for like an hour, dude.
Like 30 minutes.
And I look over at you, and you are intently trying to create
awful.
Something.
The more I look at it, the worse it looks.
It's so bad.
Okay, I agree. We're friends. You can say that. I mean, I say things about you. That's fine. Anyway, can they reach the NCAA tournament? What do you got?
Someone in our chat, Jeff West, says, "I'm a graphic designer. What are we talking about here, bro? Can you work?
Perfect.
Can we help? Can we get?
Do you have
Can we get your help, please?
Rates, or can you just do things for us?
Can you just email us, Jim Russell at iHeartMedia.com or John Schaefer at iHeartMedia.com? Like, we need help.
Or what else are we? Padres wrap-up show?
Probably Padres wrap-up show at Gmail.
Well, we could use help for everything, truthfully. I don't know if we have what you'd refer to as money.
Now, is Jeff one of those, I'm a graphic designer and it's like you?
Like Canva.com,
like your
me?
quality? Yeah.
No, he might be real. He might be better than you. Let's see what he says.
All right. He claims he can.
Jeff wants to work for the.
He claims he can make it rain. So
he can make it rain. Okay.
All right.
It's raining.
Just make it rain with graphic designs, bro.
All right, Jeff. Send us an email. Let's talk. So back to the original point, and Dutch will join us in 20 minutes. Can they reach the tournament other than winning the Mountain West tournament if they don't win on Saturday?
I'm going to say yeah.
Okay. And that path would be
win out and win or get to the Mountain West Conference Championship game.
Yeah, no, you're right, by the way. There's definitely a path. If they lose Saturday, they could win their next 6 games. Just the question becomes, is it realistic that they would lose at home to Boise and then they'd go to Logan, Utah and beat Utah State? That's the question I would ask. Like, there's 3 games in there, New Mexico, Boise at home, and Utah State on the road, where I'm thinking, go win 2 of those,
Go win all of them.
All of them would be great. Win every game the rest of the year and you're national champs, right?
Win every game.
But win 2 of the Utah State, New Mexico, Boise games, and I think you got a really good at-large resume. But again, I don't know if you could lose to Boise on Saturday and then back it up by beating Utah State on the road and then New Mexico at home. Maybe they can. Maybe they can. It's been an interesting season, so maybe they are capable of doing that. But I just think it's a fair question. Like, it just speaks to the importance of Saturday. Like, this is huge, and I'm not overselling it. It's a huge game for San Diego State on Saturday.
It is.
Huge game.
Do you want to know the top 10?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Baseball players right now, according to Major League Baseball Network.
Yeah.
So the top 10 list is currently being unveiled. We know who number 1 is. We know who number 2 is. It's Shohei's number 1. Aaron Judge is number 2.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Here are right now. That is what is out. All right. At number 10, we have Gunnar Henderson.
Okay.
Baltimore Oriole.
Yep.
Number 9, Jose Ramirez.
Yep. That seems high.
Does it?
Yeah, kind of. I thought he'd be more in the Manny range.
He's really good.
He is. So is Manny.
Number 8, Freddie Freeman.
Okay, that makes sense. We said he'd be top 10.
World Series MVP.
Mookie in there.
Number 7, Yordan Alvarez.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah. Number 6, Francisco Lindor. Finished runner-up.
Okay, yeah, he was great last year. He was great.
Number 5, Mookie Betts.
Mm-hmm.
And number 4 right now, Juan Soto. So who do you think the top 3 are? They have not released the top 3. They're doing that currently right now.
Well, we know it's Ohtani and Soto and the third guy.
Who would the third guy be, John? It's Ohtani 1, Judge number 2. Who would be the third guy? Let me think about this. Oh, I know who it could be.
Wait, we said Judge and Soto.
No, Soto's number 4.
Oh, Soto's 4. I thought you were kidding with me.
No, I'm not kidding with you.
So who do we not say? It's just a math problem.
Guess. It's my favorite player of all time.
Who is it?
Bobby Witt
Jr. He is your favorite player. And I don't want to deal with him. He's number 3.
I'm going to tag you in this.
He's number 3.
He's number 3.
He's not better than Juan Soto. Give me a break.
He's number 3.
Bobby Witt Jr. is better than Juan Soto.
That's what it says.
Well, they're wrong. No, maybe they're right. Yeah, I know he had a great year, dude. I know he had a great year.
But
Juan Soto had a great year.
I just tagged you in it.
Yeah, he's great. He finished. What did he finish? Second in MVP voting? Third?
Hey, John, do you see this? You hate me.
I hate you. I'm going to reply.
Because the bit is I tag you in everything Bobby Witt Jr.
And I replied, I hate you. Yeah, no, he had a great year. I'm in all seriousness, he had a great year. I guess that's not overly surprising. I just thought maybe like the big Juan Soto's, again, a career, but it's the right now. Okay. 9.4 WAR.
He's incredible.
Whoa.
Yeah.
For the 24-year-old. Is that even replicatable?
Oh, I don't know.
Come on.
Give me his numbers this last year. Give me it.
They were solid. 332 with 32 home runs, 109 RBIs, 31 steals, and a 977 OPS and a 171 OPS plus.
Oh,
they could use that. How about,
is that good?
how about acquire this guy?
Well, they do have somebody of that talent level, and his name's Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yeah, I haven't seen a 9.5 WAR season yet.
I know. I can envision Tatis putting up 30 and 30 and a 970 OPS though.
30 and 30. Yeah, sure. I agree. I think 2021 had that potential.
Now, I don't know about the 9 WAR. Maybe if he plays Gold Glove defense like he did in 2023.
9.5 WAR. Whoa. Yeah, he deserves it. That's fair. He deserves to be top 5.
So the top 10, again, we have at number 10, Gunnar Henderson. Number 9, Jose Ramirez. Number 8, Freddie Freeman. Number 7, Yordan Alvarez. Number 6, Francisco Lindor. Number 5, Mookie Betts. Number 4, Juan Soto. Number 3, Bobby Witt Jr. Number 2 is going to be Aaron Judge, and number 1 will be Shohei Ohtani.
Are you sure? You think Ohtani made the top 100 list? You're that convinced he's going to be first or second? He's going to be first.
You know what's weird is they, for some reason, the MLB Twitter account didn't. They deleted their Mookie Betts number 5 post.
Weird,
interesting, but yeah, that's your top 10 right now in baseball. I think the list is good. I'm not going to argue with it.
No, I mean baseball. I mean, it's not worth it. It's so much easier to argue with like a basketball or quarterback list in the NFL. Like,
Yeah,
I can argue with that either.
In baseball, you just look at
like,
kind of numbers, you know.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Jim's back page is coming up next. Brian Dutcher coming up in about 12 minutes. If you've got a question for Dutch, you can text us. We'll get to it live on air. Just text 70470. Start it with the word team. That's 70470. Start with the word team. Tomorrow is Friday, and Kevin Acey. Kevin Acey will be on the show tomorrow.
Man, the great thing is, though, every day we've had Kevin on, there's been something to talk about.
Good news. There will be. It's spring training. Baseball's back. So Kevin will join us tomorrow. And Chris Hodge, who has free picks for our listeners, he's been really, really good, will be with us tomorrow as well right here on Jon and Jim. So again, Dutch coming up in about 10 minutes. You can text us 70470. Start it with team if you've got a question for Dutch. But right now, let's get to this.
So tomorrow is Valentine's Day, John. What are you doing for Valentine's Day? Doing anything?
I bought Kristen. I did the full flowers, chocolates, card. She already knows I did this day. Massage.
Oh,
combo.
So you bought all of that?
Bought it all day.
Okay.
What are you gonna do? I feel like that. Okay, so massage. Okay, $100.
Mm-hmm.
Flowers. This is you gotta, right? I mean, I could do dinner, but with a 5-year-old and I got some family in town this weekend, it's a little challenging. I'm like, massage. You can never go wrong with a massage.
Okay, that's good.
What are you doing?
We're going to dinner tomorrow night. We're going to Blue Water.
Nobody loves dinner more than Jim.
Well, I think, for the most part, everybody loves dinner.
True. Okay, so Blue Water.
No, wait. Is that a place it's called? Oh, where is it? It's the place in Coronado. I think that's what it's called. Near, I think it's called Blue Water in Coronado.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going there.
Blue Water Grill?
Blue Water Grill. Yeah, we're going there. And then I got a card and I'll get flowers tomorrow and we'll be good to go.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Nothing crazy.
Did Aaron say, I don't want anything? I don't know.
No, I learned my lesson. That was the first year. Yeah, and I didn't do anything. And she's
awful, dude.
And I come home and she has a handwritten note and my favorite candy. And I'm like, oh no.
How you survive that? That's how you know she's the one.
That was before we were engaged.
Right.
I was like, oh.
She probably was like, oh, I guess he doesn't think it's that serious.
I am screwed. And this was also coming off of
the Eagles Niners NFC title game.
Yeah, so she thought I hated her. she's like, he hates my guts.
Did you think maybe in that real moment, this ain't happening?
I remember after we got engaged and that night, didn't sleep. And she was telling me that for the previous month after the Niners-Eagles NFC title game debacle, she thought that I was going to break up with her.
Oh my gosh. Dude,
she's like, something changed. And I was like, well, yes, I was mad about the game, but I was also extremely nervous about pulling this whole engagement off. The proposal and her parents coming to town. And,
all's well that ends well.
Yeah, everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back to the back page here are some Valentine's Day deals for everybody out there.
Yeah.
All right. But these are fast food deals. Because, of course, nothing says Valentine's Day like fast food. Applebee's, not fast food, but Applebee's is underrated, man. I like me Applebee's.
American. Yeah,
very good.
Down.
Members of the Free Club Applebee's loyalty program can register. They can register by, last night.
Wait, it's over?
It's over.
Hey, register for something that you can't register for.
For a chance to purchase one of 3,000 Applebee's date night passes.
Well, that's done, though.
Yeah, you're screwed.
That's great.
Sorry. Burger King yesterday
in 2022 offered free burgers.
Members of the fast food chain's Royal Perk loyalty program can buy one, get one free Whopper on Valentine's Day in the BK app.
Okay.
California Pizza Kitchen, John.
CPK.
A sweet deal for two. Starts at $55 for dine-in and takeout. That was available 2 days ago.
Stop, dude. Are you serious? Dude, we need to vet Backpage.
Hold on, wait. It says February.
Read.
No, it says February 10th to 16th. So that goes,
counts.
Yeah, but it started on the 10th.
Yeah, that's fine.
Includes one starter, 2 entrees, including a heart-shaped pizza and dessert.
Okay, that sounds good.
Expires 2022.
Chipotle for Valentine's Day. Get BOGO buy one, get one burrito.
All day February 11th.
With an order of $20 or more through Grubhub. Also through February 17th, all Amazon Prime Grubhub Plus members can also use promo code GET10 at checkout and get $10 off their order of $30 or more. Dave & Buster's, John, the entertainment destination's date night duo deal for $40 includes 2 $10 power cards, an eat, drink, play combo meal, 1 dessert, and a special date night challenge card.
Are you going to take Aaron? The thing is with a date night at Dave & Buster's,
how about this?
Do they want to play like video games?
How about this? Outback.
Typically, yeah.
Outback Steakhouse. Order from a special 4-course menu on Valentine's Day for $30 per person.
Okay.
Post a pic of your celebration on Outback social accounts and you may win a gift card. Papa John's, you can get a heart-shaped pizza for $11.99 through the 16th. Panda Express through tomorrow. When you buy $30 or more in gift cards online, you'll get a free Panda Bowl. That's good. Panera Bread, the bakery chain, has a special buy one, get one deal on Asiago bagel stack sandwiches.
Okay.
Happy Valentine's Day. Here's some Panda gift cards.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, the one earlier, Burger King. I mean, okay.
Yeah. I'm surprised there's no Chick-fil-A because I read an article like last week that like did you know the number one like dating destination for like restaurants is Chick-fil-A?
Really?
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah.
All right. Didn't know that either. And Roundtable Pizza on Valentine's Day weekend through Monday, February 17th, get 14% off any large or extra large pizza, including a heart-shaped pizza with code RTP125.
Yeah, I liked it better that year when Pizza Hut's like, hey, you want to dump your boyfriend on Valentine's Day?
Yeah,
we'll write it on
right.
pizza and give it to you.
14% off for the 14th. I mean, 14% off.
Yeah, that's not
a lot.
much.
That's not too much. That's not too much. All right, Brian Dutcher coming up at 6 p.m. in 5 minutes. If you've got a question for Dutch, you can text us right now. We'll get to it. Live on air, 70470. Start it with Team at the Aztecs. Get ready for Boise State. If you missed anything today, sportssd.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, or Spotify. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. We're back tomorrow at 2. Kevin Acey will join us. Keep it here. Brian Dutcher Show next. San Diego Sports, 760.
Okay, bye.